Don't miss the awesome Naruto stories my sister creates. Her last channel was hacked, so to stay in the loop, please subscribe to her new channel. It would mean a lot to her, and you won't regret it. Dear Naruto Lemon fans, I'm inviting all of you to my Boosty channel. You know that YouTube doesn't exactly approve of this kind of content, so please subscribe to my paid subscription and enjoy Naruto Lemon scenes comfortably. There are different subscription tiers from Mini Lemon to God Lemon. Those who buy the over Naruto Lemon and God Naruto Lemon, I'll mentions in the videos. Dare. Chapter 1, A New Dawn for Akatsuki. The moon hung high over the desolate ruins of the Akatsuki headquarters, casting an eerie glow over the broken landscape. Once a symbol of chaos and destruction, the old base now stood silent, its broken walls a testament to the battles fought and the dreams lost. But tonight, a new era was about to begin. Naruto Uzumaki stood at the center of the command room, the flickering light from the scattered torches illuminating his determined face. Clad in his distinctive Akatsuki cloak, which he had modified to fit his new role, Naruto exuded an air of authority and confidence that was both familiar and foreign. His bright blue eyes, usually filled with determination and a hint of mischief, now held a steely resolve. "Well, here we are," Naruto said with a grin, his voice echoing through the cavernous room. "Welcome to the new Akatsuki. Let's make it clear, we're not here to destroy. We're here to change things for the better." A collective murmur of surprise and skepticism filled the room. The Akatsuki members, once fierce and fearsome, now looked at their new leader with a mix of curiosity and wariness. Among them was Konan, the ever-loyal paper jutsu user, and Nagato, who had once held the title of Pain. Both had been present during Naruto's rise, and now they were witnessing his attempt to transform their former ambitions. Naruto turned to his left, where Kushina Uzumaki stood, her presence like a beacon of warmth in the cold, dark room. Resurrected by an experimental jutsu that Naruto had perfected, she was adjusting to her new reality. Her fiery red hair flowed freely, and her eyes sparkled with a mix of pride and concern. Despite her initial reluctance, she had decided to support her son's unconventional plans. "Naruto, are you sure this is the right path?" Kushina asked, her voice filled with a mixture of motherly worry and curiosity. "Taking over Akatsuki and changing its goals, it's a huge leap from what we envisioned." Naruto chuckled, his eyes twinkling with mischief. "Come on, Mom. You know I thrive on challenges. Besides, what's life without a little chaos and adventure? We've been through too much to let this opportunity slip by." Kushina sighed but couldn't help smiling at her son's enthusiasm. "You're incorrigible. But if you believe this will make a difference, I'm with you." Just then, the door to the command room burst open, and a group of Akatsuki members entered, led by Itachi Uchiha, the enigmatic Sharingan user. His calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the chaotic energy of the room. Following him were Kisame Hoshigaki, with his large sword and intimidating presence, and Deidara, who was already eyeing the walls as if planning his next artistic masterpiece. "So, you're really going through with this?" Itachi asked, his voice steady. "A complete overhaul of Akatsuki's mission? It's bold, but can you truly lead us to a new path?" Naruto met Itachi's gaze with a determined nod. "Absolutely. We're going to turn Akatsuki into a force for true peace. No more destruction. We'll use our power to protect and guide the world." Deidara snorted, crossing his arms. "Sounds like a lot of talk. What's in it for us? We're used to doing things our way." Naruto's grin widened. "What's in it for you? A chance to actually make a difference. To be part of something greater than just chaos and war. And of course, there'll be plenty of room for creativity and individual expression. How's that for a deal? Kisame grunted, seemingly unimpressed but intrigued. You've got guts, kid. Let's see if you can walk the walk. As the discussion continued, Kushina observed from the sidelines, her heart swelling with pride. Despite the unconventional nature of Naruto's plans, she couldn't deny the determination and idealism in his eyes. He was her son, and he was about to take on a monumental task. After the initial meeting, Naruto and Kushina walked through the old Akatsuki base, now a potential new headquarters. The remnants of past battles and the eerie silence of the place were a stark contrast to the vibrant energy Naruto brought with him. So, how do you feel about this place? Kushina asked, her voice softening as she looked around. Do you think it's fitting for the new Akatsuki? Naruto shrugged, a playful grin on his face. It's a bit rough around the edges, but it's got character. Plus, we can make it our own. A little renovation here and there, and it'll be perfect. Kushina chuckled, shaking her head. Always the optimist. Just remember, this is more than just a makeover. It's a chance to create something meaningful. Naruto's expression turned serious as he placed a hand on her shoulder. I know, Mom. And I appreciate your support. We're going to make this work, and we'll do it together. As they continued their tour of the base, Naruto's mind was already buzzing with plans and ideas. The road ahead would be filled with challenges, but he was ready. With his mother by his side and a team of Akatsuki members who had yet to be fully convinced, Naruto was determined to forge a new path for the organization. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear, the dawn of a new era for Akatsuki had begun. And Naruto Uzumaki was ready to lead them into it, with a heart full of hope and a vision that could change the world. Chapter 2, Trials and Triumphs. The new Akatsuki headquarters buzzed with activity as Naruto and his team began transforming the old base into a functional and formidable command center. The once desolate and intimidating space was now a hive of renovation, strategic planning, and, much to everyone's surprise, humor. Naruto had gathered his key members for a briefing in the newly designated strategy room, which still smelled faintly of dust and old memories. The room was far from perfect, but it was becoming a hub of energetic chaos. Akatsuki members were busy setting up equipment, decorating with personal touches, and occasionally bickering over the best way to organize their new headquarters. Kushina watched with a mix of amusement and pride as Naruto took charge. His usual carefree demeanor had shifted to one of enthusiastic leadership, and he tackled every challenge with a mix of humor and determination. All right, everyone. Naruto's voice boomed with excitement as he addressed the gathered members. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, but let's get one thing straight, this isn't going to be your typical Akatsuki operation. We're here to build something new, something better. Deidara, who had been busy hanging his latest art project on the wall, raised an eyebrow. So, what's the plan for today, oh mighty leader? More redecorating, or do we get to start with the fun stuff? Naruto grinned mischievously. A little bit of both. We're going to have a strategy session, but first, we need to settle some basic stuff. Like our new base layout and a new cafeteria menu, interrupted Kisame, who had been eyeing a particularly dubious-looking pot of soup that was bubbling away in the corner. Naruto laughed. Exactly. We're going to need a lot of food to keep everyone happy and energized. And while we're at it, we might as well make sure it's good food. As the meeting progressed, Kushina found herself drawn into the chaos. She had become a central figure in Naruto's plans, not just as a supportive mother but as an advisor and confidant. Her role was crucial in balancing Naruto's sometimes overly ambitious plans with practical considerations. After the meeting, Kushina took Naruto aside for a private conversation. They walked through the corridors of the base, which were now lined with makeshift decorations and hastily assembled furniture. Naruto, Kushina began, her tone serious, I've been thinking about our next steps. It's not just about setting up the base or organizing the members. We need to establish our new mission clearly. We need to make sure everyone understands what we're trying to achieve. Naruto nodded, his expression turning thoughtful. I know. It's not just about what we do, but why we're doing it. We need to show everyone that this new Akatsuki is about more than just power and control. It's about creating a world where people can live without fear. Kushina smiled, touched by her son's earnestness. Exactly. And we need to make sure we have a solid plan to back up those ideals. I'm here to help, and together, we can make this work. As they spoke, the sound of laughter and conversation filled the air. Naruto's new leadership style was already making an impact, not just on the organization's operations but on the morale of its members. Later that evening, the team gathered in the newly transformed common area for a celebratory dinner. The room was a mix of newly acquired furniture and old Akatsuki relics, creating a quirky but welcoming atmosphere. Naruto had insisted on a celebratory feast to mark the beginning of their new chapter. Deidara was at the center of the kitchen, proudly showing off his latest culinary experiment, one that involved his signature explosive clay in a questionable amount of spices. Behold! Deidara announced with a flourish, holding up a dish that seemed to shimmer ominously. A masterpiece of explosive flavor. Kushina, eyeing the dish with a mix of apprehension and curiosity, nudged Naruto. You sure this is a good idea? Naruto chuckled. Hey, if Deidara says it's a masterpiece, it's at least worth trying. Besides, we could use a little excitement. As they sat down to eat, the mood was light and filled with laughter. Naruto's charisma and humor had a way of bringing people together, even in the most unexpected ways. Kushina watched with a warm smile as her son interacted with his new team, making them feel like a family rather than just a group of allies. Amid the food, laughter, and conversation, Naruto found a moment to pull Kushina aside. They stepped out onto a balcony overlooking the moonlit landscape, the cool night air a refreshing change from the warmth of the common area. Mom, Naruto said softly, his voice filled with gratitude, I couldn't have done any of this without you. Your support means more to me than you know. Kushina looked at him with a mixture of love and pride. You're doing amazing, Naruto. I believe in you and your vision. Just remember, no matter how tough things get, we're in this together. Naruto smiled, a sense of determination burning in his eyes. Together, we're going to make this work. We're going to show the world that Akatsuki can be a force for good. As the night wore on, Naruto and Kushina returned to the common area, where the celebration continued. The new Akatsuki was far from perfect, but it was a start. With Naruto's leadership and Kushina's unwavering support, the organization was on the path to a new and promising future. The road ahead was filled with challenges, but for now, the mood was optimistic. Naruto's vision was taking shape, and with every step, he was forging a new legacy for Akatsuki, one where hope and change could thrive. Chapter 3: The Winds of Change. The morning sun cast its first light over the newly reformed Akatsuki headquarters, heralding the start of another busy day. The previous night's celebration had been a success, but today marked the beginning of serious work. Naruto had made it clear that the real challenge lay ahead, and everyone needed to be ready. In the early hours, the command room buzzed with activity. Akatsuki members were strategizing, organizing, and preparing for the tasks ahead. The walls were adorned with maps and plans that Naruto had personally drafted, detailing their new objectives and how they intended to achieve them. Naruto stood at the center of the room, examining a large map with a mix of concentration and enthusiasm. His eyes, usually filled with mischief, were now focused and determined. His leadership style was a refreshing change, and the Akatsuki members were slowly coming around to his vision. All right, team. Naruto called out, rallying everyone's attention. Today's agenda includes a strategic meeting to outline our first major operation. We need to show the world that we're serious about our new mission. Deidara, still buzzing from the previous night's culinary adventures, looked up with a mischievous grin. Oh, do tell. Are we going to make some explosive waves, or just more explosive art? Naruto chuckled. Not quite, Deidara. We're starting with something a bit less, well, explosive. We're going to make our presence known by helping a small village that's been struggling due to bandit attacks. It's a way to show that we're here to protect and support. Kisame, who had been busy sharpening his sword, raised an eyebrow. So, we're starting with a charity mission? Sounds a bit mundane for the new Akatsuki. Naruto gave him a playful smirk. Mundane? Maybe. But it's a chance to build trust and prove that we're different. Plus, it's a good way to start building a positive reputation. The team nodded in agreement, though some members were still unsure. Kushina, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. Naruto's right. This mission will be a chance to demonstrate our new values. And who knows? It might even be fun. With their task set, the Akatsuki members prepared for their mission. Naruto and Kushina made their way to the front of the base, where a small group of villagers had gathered. The villagers were wary but hopeful, their eyes reflecting a mix of skepticism and desperation. Greetings. Naruto said with his usual enthusiasm, his smile warm and reassuring. We're here to help you. We understand you've been having trouble with bandits, and we're here to set things right. One of the villagers, an elderly man with a weathered face, stepped forward. Are you really from the Akatsuki? We've heard stories, not always pleasant. Naruto's grin widened. Yeah, we're from the Akatsuki, but we're not the same ones you've heard about. We're here to make things better, and that's a promise. Kushina added, we're committed to protecting and assisting. Just give us a chance to show you what we can do. As the team set out to deal with the bandits, the atmosphere was a mix of anticipation and lightheartedness. Naruto led the charge, his energy infectious, while Kushina provided strategic guidance from the sidelines. The bandits, who had been causing trouble for the village, were caught off guard by the unexpected intervention. Deidara, ever the artist, used his clay creations to create distractions and entrapments, turning the battle into a blend of chaos and artistry. Kisame wielded his sword with precision, and Itachi used his Sharingan to anticipate the bandits' moves. Naruto, with his usual flair, combined his ninja skills with a dose of humor, turning each encounter into a display of creativity and strength. As the battle concluded, the bandits were defeated, and the village was safe. The villagers' initial skepticism gave way to gratitude, and Naruto and his team were met with cheers and thanks. Back at the village, a small celebration was held in their honor. Naruto and Kushina were treated to a modest feast, with villagers offering their homemade dishes. The atmosphere was light and joyful, a stark contrast to the previous tension. Naruto, sitting next to Kushina, watched as the villagers celebrated. His usual playful demeanor had been replaced by a look of contentment. See, Mom? It wasn't so bad. We made a difference today. Kushina smiled, her heart swelling with pride. You did well, Naruto. This is just the beginning, but it's a good start. You're showing everyone that the new Akatsuki is about more than just power. As the sun set and the village celebrations continued, Naruto and Kushina found a quiet spot away from the festivities. The night sky was filled with stars, casting a gentle glow over the landscape. Kushina turned to Naruto, her expression soft. You're doing great. I know it's not easy to change people's perceptions, but you're on the right path. Naruto nodded, his eyes reflecting the stars. Thanks, Mom. I couldn't do it without you. Your support means the world to me. They shared a moment of silent understanding, the bond between them growing stronger with each passing day. Naruto's vision for Akatsuki was taking shape, and with Kushina by his side, he felt more determined than ever to prove that they could make a real difference. As they prepared to return to their headquarters, the sense of camaraderie and accomplishment lingered. The road ahead would be filled with challenges, but for now, Naruto and his team were savoring their success and looking forward to the future. The winds of change were blowing, and the new Akatsuki was ready to face whatever lay ahead. Armed with hope, determination, and a touch of humor. Chapter 4: Bonds of Trust. The following days at the Akatsuki headquarters were a whirlwind of activity. The successful mission to help the village had boosted the team's morale and reinforced Naruto's vision for the organization. The base was becoming a bustling center of preparation, with members strategizing, training, and engaging in various projects to support their new mission. Naruto and Kushina were in the command room, discussing their next move. The room, now fully operational, was lined with maps and filled with the hum of ongoing discussions. Naruto's enthusiasm was contagious, and the team's dedication was evident in their focused efforts. "All right, everyone," Naruto called out, rallying the team for their daily briefing. "We've had a great start, but we need to keep the momentum going. Our next mission involves a rogue ninja faction causing trouble in a neighboring region. They've been creating chaos, and it's up to us to put an end to it." Deidara, who had been experimenting with a new type of clay, looked up with interest. "Another chance to showcase my art, huh? I'm in." Kisame, leaning against the wall with his sword at his side, grinned. "As long as there's action involved, count me in." Naruto nodded, pleased with the response. "Great. We'll need to gather more intel on this faction before we make our move. I want to make sure we have a solid plan in place." Kushina, who had been observing the team's interaction, saw an opportunity to address a more pressing concern. "Naruto, we need to discuss how we're going to build stronger relationships with other villages. Our mission is not just about fighting battles but also about forging alliances." Naruto looked thoughtful. "You're right, Mom. Building trust with other villages will be crucial. Maybe we can start by sending ambassadors to establish communication and offer support." As the team prepared for their next mission, Naruto and Kushina took some time to focus on strengthening their internal bonds. They organized a series of activities designed to build trust and camaraderie among the members. One of these activities was a friendly competition, which Naruto organized with his trademark enthusiasm. He set up a series of challenges that included everything from obstacle courses to cooking contests. The goal was to foster teamwork and create opportunities for members to bond outside of their usual roles. During the competition, the atmosphere was filled with laughter and camaraderie. Deidara's clay creations added a creative touch to the obstacle course, while Kisame's competitive spirit shone through in the cooking contest. The members, who had previously been focused solely on their missions, began to see each other in a new light. Kushina watched with satisfaction as Naruto facilitated the events, his natural charisma bringing out the best in everyone. She saw firsthand how the new Akatsuki was evolving from a group of powerful individuals into a cohesive team. Later, as the competition came to an end and the team gathered for a celebratory feast, Naruto took a moment to address everyone. "I'm really proud of what we've accomplished so far. We're not just a group of rogue ninjas anymore. We're a team, and we're building something special." The members cheered, their spirits lifted by Naruto's words and the sense of unity they had experienced. The feast was filled with laughter, stories, and a sense of belonging that had been missing from their lives for a long time. After the festivities, Naruto and Kushina took a quiet walk outside the headquarters. The night air was cool and refreshing, and the stars above seemed to reflect the sense of hope and determination that had become a hallmark of their new Akatsuki. "I'm really pleased with how things are going," Kushina said, breaking the silence. "You've managed to bring everyone together in a way I didn't think was possible." Naruto smiled, his eyes reflecting the starlight. "Thanks, Mom. It's not just me. It's everyone working together. We're all committed to this new path, and it's making a difference." As they continued their walk, Naruto and Kushina discussed their plans for the future. They talked about the importance of maintaining their newfound unity and how to handle the challenges that lay ahead. Their conversation was filled with a sense of purpose and determination, each idea and suggestion adding to their vision for a better Akatsuki. Back at the headquarters, the team was winding down from the day's events. The bonds forged through the competition and shared experiences had created a newfound sense of camaraderie. The members were beginning to see each other not just as allies but as friends. In the midst of this positive change, Naruto found himself reflecting on the journey ahead. The road to transforming Akatsuki into a force for good was long and filled with obstacles, but with his team by his side and Kushina's unwavering support, he felt confident that they could achieve their goals. As the night deepened, Naruto and Kushina returned to the headquarters, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. The new Akatsuki was more than just a group of ninjas, it was a family united by a common purpose and bound by trust, hope, and the promise of a better future. The journey was far from over, but Naruto and his team were ready to continue forging their path, one step at a time, with a renewed sense of determination and a commitment to making a difference in the world. Chapter 5: Shadows and Alliances. The sun rose over the Akatsuki headquarters, casting a golden glow on the newly fortified base. The atmosphere was one of focused anticipation as the team prepared for their next mission. The successful village aid had garnered them some positive attention, but Naruto knew that sustaining this momentum would be crucial. In the command room, Naruto, Kushina, and the key members of the team gathered for the day's briefing. The mission ahead was to deal with a rogue faction causing trouble in a neighboring region. This faction had been destabilizing local governance and spreading fear, and it was up to the Akatsuki to intervene. "Alright, everyone," Naruto began, his voice steady and authoritative. "Our goal is to neutralize this faction's influence and restore stability to the region. We need to be strategic about this. They've been using guerrilla tactics, so we'll need to be prepared for a fight." Kushina nodded in agreement. "We'll also need to gather intelligence on their operations and key personnel. Understanding their leadership and resources will be crucial." Deidara, looking eager, chimed in, "So, we're going to be dealing with some artful troublemakers, huh? Sounds like a good opportunity for some explosive creativity." Kisame grinned, unsheathing his sword slightly. "And some action. I'm all in." Naruto's eyes gleamed with determination. "Exactly. We'll split into smaller teams to cover more ground and gather information. Our main focus will be on identifying their base of operations and disrupting their activities." The briefing continued as the team discussed their roles and strategies. Naruto had devised a plan that involved reconnaissance, infiltration, and direct engagement. The goal was to neutralize the faction's influence while minimizing collateral damage. As the team prepared to leave, Kushina pulled Naruto aside. "Before we head out, there's something we need to address. We've been focusing a lot on internal matters, but it's time to start building external alliances. Our mission will be more effective if we can secure support from other villages." Naruto agreed. "I've been thinking the same thing. We need to establish communication with neighboring villages and demonstrate our commitment to cooperation and mutual benefit." Kushina smiled. "I'll take the lead on that. I have some connections that might help facilitate these discussions. We'll need to approach this diplomatically and show them our intentions are genuine." With the plan set, Naruto and his team embarked on their mission. The journey to the target region was filled with a mix of excitement and tension. The landscape was rugged and challenging, a fitting backdrop for the task ahead. Upon arriving in the region, the team quickly got to work. Deidara and Kisame took on reconnaissance duties, using their skills to gather information without drawing attention. Naruto and Kushina focused on assessing the situation on the ground, speaking with local leaders and residents to understand the full scope of the faction's impact. During their investigation, they uncovered a network of informants and sympathizers who had been aiding the rogue faction. The faction's influence was more extensive than they had initially realized, and their operations were well organized. Naruto's team regrouped to share their findings. "It looks like the faction has a stronghold in the northern part of the region," Naruto reported. "We need to neutralize their leadership and cut off their support network." Kushina added, "We should also focus on providing immediate assistance to the affected communities. If we can win their trust and support, it will make our mission more effective." The team moved into action, splitting into smaller units to execute their plan. Deidara and Kisame led the charge in disrupting the faction's operations, using a combination of stealth and force to weaken their defenses. Naruto and Kushina worked on rallying local support and providing aid to those in need. As the mission progressed, the team encountered fierce resistance from the faction's loyalists. The battles were intense, but Naruto's leadership and the team's coordination proved effective. Deidara's explosive creations and Kisame's formidable combat skills turned the tide in their favor. In a pivotal confrontation, Naruto faced the faction's leader, a skilled and cunning adversary who had been orchestrating the chaos. The battle was a test of Naruto's resolve and strategy, and he fought with a mix of determination and creativity. As the dust settled, Naruto emerged victorious. The faction's leader was captured, and their operations were dismantled. The region began to see a glimmer of hope as order was restored. Back at the base, the team celebrated their success. The mission had been challenging, but it had also strengthened their bonds and solidified their commitment to their new path. Kushina, who had been busy working on external alliances, returned with positive news. "I've made progress with the neighboring villages. They're willing to engage in dialogue and explore opportunities for cooperation." Naruto's eyes lit up with excitement. "That's fantastic news. Building these alliances will be crucial for our long-term goals." As the team gathered for a well-deserved rest, Naruto reflected on their journey. The mission had been a significant step forward, and the new Akatsuki was beginning to make its mark. The road ahead was still long and filled with challenges, but Naruto felt confident that they were on the right track. The bonds within the team were growing stronger, and their efforts were starting to pay off. With each success, the new Akatsuki was forging a path toward a brighter future, one where their ideals of support and cooperation could flourish. The night settled over the headquarters, and Naruto looked up at the stars with a sense of fulfillment. The challenges they had faced were shaping them into a formidable force for good, and he was ready to continue their journey with renewed determination and hope. Chapter 6: Whispering Shadows. The success of their recent mission had provided a much-needed boost to the Akatsuki's morale. As the team settled back into their routine at headquarters, Naruto was focused on the next steps for their burgeoning organization. His commitment to establishing alliances and improving their reputation was unwavering, but there were still challenges to overcome. Naruto and Kushina sat in the command room, reviewing the reports from their recent mission. The room was filled with a sense of quiet determination as the team worked on planning their next moves. "Everything's going well so far," Naruto said, glancing at the stack of reports on the table. "We've made progress with the local villages, and our recent successes are starting to gain us some respect." Kushina nodded, her gaze thoughtful. "It's important that we maintain this momentum. However, we need to be aware that not everyone will be pleased with our new approach. There may be those who see us as a threat or challenge." Naruto's expression grew serious. "You're right. We need to be prepared for potential opposition and ensure that our efforts aren't undermined." As they discussed their plans, a sudden knock on the door interrupted their conversation. Deidara entered with a look of urgency on his face. "Hey, Naruto," he said, his usual playful demeanor replaced by a more serious tone. "We've got a situation. There are rumors of a new faction moving in on our territory. They've been causing trouble and stirring up dissent among the villagers we've been trying to help." Naruto's eyes narrowed. "A new faction? We need to gather more information about them. If they're interfering with our work, we have to address it quickly. Kushina agreed. We should send out reconnaissance teams to assess the situation and gather intelligence on this new faction. Understanding their motives and strength will be crucial. The team sprang into action. Deidara and Kisame were assigned to scout the area and gather information, while Naruto and Kushina worked on coordinating their response. The new faction, known as the Whispering Shadows, had a reputation for being elusive and manipulative, making them a particularly challenging adversary. As Deidara and Kisame ventured into the region, they encountered a series of covert operations and hidden camps. The Whispering Shadows were adept at avoiding detection, using guerrilla tactics and subterfuge to their advantage. Deidara, always quick with his artistic flair, used his clay creations to create distractions and camouflage. Kisame, with his keen senses and combat skills, provided the necessary support to navigate through the hostile environment. Their efforts revealed that the Whispering Shadows were not only a significant threat but also had connections with some disillusioned former Akatsuki members. Back at headquarters, Naruto and Kushina awaited the report with growing concern. When Deidara and Kisame finally returned, their news was sobering. The Whispering Shadows are more organized than we thought, Deidara reported. They've got a network of informants and are actively working to undermine our efforts. They're also stirring up trouble among the villagers, sowing distrust. Kisame added, they've managed to recruit some former Akatsuki members who weren't happy with our new direction. They're using that to spread dissent and create chaos. Naruto's expression was a mix of determination and frustration. We need to take decisive action. We can't let them sabotage everything we've worked for. We'll need to neutralize their influence and show them that we're not to be underestimated. Kushina nodded. We should also focus on reinforcing our alliances with the villages. The more support we have, the harder it will be for the Whispering Shadows to succeed. With their plan in place, the team prepared for a new round of operations. Naruto and Kushina focused on rallying their allies and securing their support, while Deidara and Kisame were tasked with disrupting the Whispering Shadows' operations and exposing their network. As the days went by, the Akatsuki members engaged in a series of coordinated actions to counter the Whispering Shadows. They executed a series of strikes against the faction's hidden camps, using a combination of intelligence and direct engagement to weaken their hold. One night, as Naruto and Kushina reviewed their progress, they received unexpected news. A former Akatsuki member, now allied with the Whispering Shadows, had requested a meeting. The request was unusual and risky, but it presented an opportunity to understand the faction's motives and potentially turn the situation to their advantage. Naruto agreed to the meeting, seeing it as a chance to gain valuable insight. The meeting was arranged in a neutral location, and Naruto and Kushina arrived with caution. The former member, a skilled ninja named Ryota, greeted them with a mixture of wariness and curiosity. I've heard about the changes you've made to Akatsuki, Ryota said. I'm here to offer information in exchange for a chance to discuss my grievances. Naruto's eyes were sharp. What kind of information are we talking about? And what grievances do you have? Ryota looked around. Ensuring they were alone. The Whispering Shadows are a response to your attempts to reshape Akatsuki. They see your new approach as a betrayal of what the organization was meant to be. They're not just causing trouble, they're fighting for their vision of Akatsuki's future. Kushina's gaze was steady. And what is your vision, Ryota? Ryota hesitated, then spoke. Power and control. The Whispering Shadows believe that true strength comes from dominance and fear. They think that by destabilizing the region, they'll prove their strength and force a return to the old ways. Naruto's expression hardened. And you think you can convince them otherwise? Ryota shook his head. I'm not sure. But I believe we need to understand their motivations and address them if we want to end this conflict. I can help you with that, but it will require trust and cooperation. The meeting concluded with an agreement to exchange information and explore potential solutions. Naruto and Kushina left with a new perspective on the Whispering Shadows and a renewed determination to address the root of the conflict. Back at headquarters, the team resumed their efforts with a clearer understanding of their opponents. The Whispering Shadows were a formidable adversary, but Naruto's resolve and the support of his team gave him confidence that they could overcome this challenge. As the night fell over the Akatsuki base, Naruto and Kushina reflected on the progress they had made and the road ahead. The Whispering Shadows had introduced a new layer of complexity to their mission, but they were determined to face it with strength, unity, and a commitment to their vision for a better future. The journey was far from over, and the challenges were only beginning. But with each step forward, Naruto and his team were forging a path toward a new era for the Akatsuki, one where their ideals of support, cooperation, and positive change could truly take root. Chapter 7: Echoes of the Past. The days following the meeting with Ryota were filled with activity. The Akatsuki team was working hard to address the new threat posed by the Whispering Shadows while continuing their efforts to strengthen alliances and support the local villages. Despite their busy schedule, Naruto and Kushina made time to reflect on their past decisions and the future of their organization. Naruto, deep in thought, sat in his office reviewing intelligence reports. Kushina entered, her expression thoughtful. She had been working on diplomatic efforts and securing support from neighboring villages, and the strain of their ongoing struggle was evident. "Hey," she said softly, taking a seat across from Naruto. "I've been thinking about our strategy. We need to be cautious about how we approach the Whispering Shadows. They're not just a threat, they're a symbol of the old Akatsuki's ideals." Naruto looked up from the reports, meeting her gaze. "I know. It's not just about defeating them, it's about understanding why they're fighting so fiercely. If we can address their core grievances, we might be able to turn the tide." Kushina nodded. "Exactly. And we also need to consider that some of our allies might be sympathetic to their cause. We need to be vigilant and ensure that our message of change is clear and convincing." As they discussed their plans, a sudden commotion outside their office caught their attention. Deidara and Kisame burst in, their faces showing a mix of excitement and urgency. "Naruto, Kushina, we've got something big," Deidara announced. "We've located a major hideout for the Whispering Shadows. It's heavily fortified, but it's a chance for us to strike a significant blow." Kisame added, "We've also picked up some chatter that suggests they're planning something big. If we can hit their base before they execute their plan, we might be able to prevent whatever they're plotting." Naruto's eyes gleamed with determination. "This is our chance. If we can disrupt their operations and expose their leaders, it could shift the balance in our favor." The team quickly mobilized, preparing for a high-stakes operation. The target was a remote fortress hidden in the mountains, surrounded by dense forest and protected by a network of traps and guards. The mission would be dangerous, but the potential payoff was worth the risk. As they approached the fortress, the team used a combination of stealth and diversion to infiltrate the perimeter. Deidara's explosive creations created a diversion, allowing Kisame and the others to slip past the outer defenses. Inside the fortress, the team encountered fierce resistance from the Whispering Shadows. The battles were intense, with skilled opponents who were determined to defend their stronghold. Naruto led the charge, using his skills and strategies to push through the defenses and reach the inner sanctum. Amid the chaos, Kushina managed to track down the faction's leaders. She confronted them in a tense standoff, her eyes blazing with determination. "Why are you fighting so hard against us?" Kushina demanded. "What are you hoping to achieve by causing all this chaos?" The leader of the Whispering Shadows, a tall figure with a mask concealing his face, replied with a cold voice. "We fight to preserve the true essence of the Akatsuki. Your changes are a betrayal of everything we stood for. We believe in strength through fear and dominance, not peace and cooperation." Kushina's expression softened slightly, but her resolve remained firm. You're wrong. We're not abandoning the ideals of strength, we're evolving them. True strength comes from protecting and supporting others, not from sowing discord. As the confrontation escalated, Naruto arrived, engaging in a fierce battle with the Whispering Shadows leader. The fight was a test of Naruto's skills and ideals, and he fought with a combination of determination and empathy. During the battle, Naruto managed to disarm and capture the leader, bringing the conflict to a dramatic climax. The Whispering Shadows' stronghold was dismantled, and their operations were significantly disrupted. Back at the headquarters, the team regrouped and assessed the results of their mission. The defeat of the Whispering Shadows was a significant victory, but Naruto knew that the work was far from over. The faction's influence had been weakened, but their ideals and grievances were still present. Kushina approached Naruto, her expression thoughtful. We've made progress, but we need to continue addressing the underlying issues. We should use this opportunity to reinforce our message and demonstrate the benefits of our new approach. Naruto nodded in agreement. We'll continue to work on building our alliances and showing that our vision for the Akatsuki is one of strength through unity and support. We need to ensure that our actions align with our ideals and that our message is clear. As the team settled in for the night, Naruto and Kushina took a moment to reflect on their journey. The path to reshaping the Akatsuki was filled with challenges, but each victory brought them closer to their goal. The future remained uncertain, but Naruto felt a sense of hope and determination. With each step forward, they were forging a new legacy for the Akatsuki, one where their ideals of positive change and cooperation could thrive. The night was quiet, and Naruto looked out at the stars with a sense of resolve. The journey was far from over, but with his team by his side and their vision guiding them, he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Chapter 8, Bonds of Trust. The aftermath of the attack on the Whispering Shadows stronghold left the Akatsuki with a sense of cautious optimism. While the defeat of the faction was a significant victory, the team knew that the battle for hearts and minds was far from over. They needed to consolidate their gains and continue building trust with the villages and allies they had worked so hard to cultivate. Naruto and Kushina focused on this task with renewed vigor. They organized meetings with village leaders to discuss their recent successes and reinforce their commitment to maintaining peace and support throughout the region. The Akatsuki's efforts were beginning to show results, with more villages expressing willingness to cooperate and provide support. One evening, as Naruto and Kushina reviewed their plans for an upcoming diplomatic visit, a familiar face appeared in their office. It was Sasuke, who had been away on a mission to investigate potential threats and gather information. Sasuke, Naruto greeted him, a mix of relief and curiosity in his voice. Good to see you back. How did the mission go? Sasuke's expression was serious. I gathered some useful intelligence. There are still factions out there that could pose a threat, but there's also a lot of potential for new alliances. We need to stay vigilant. Kushina nodded. That's good to hear. We've been making progress, but we need to ensure that we're prepared for any potential complications. Sasuke took a seat and handed over a set of documents. These are the reports from my mission. They include information on several groups that might be interested in forming alliances with us, as well as a few that could be problematic. Naruto reviewed the documents, his mind racing with possibilities. We need to approach these new potential allies carefully. Building strong relationships will be key to our success. Kushina looked thoughtful. And we should also address any potential threats before they become major issues. Ensuring that we maintain a positive image will help us gain more support. As the team continued their discussion, the door to the office opened again, this time revealing Deidara and Kisame, who were carrying a young woman between them. The woman looked exhausted but determined, and Naruto's curiosity was piqued. What's going on? Naruto asked, his gaze shifting to the newcomer. Deidara spoke up, we found her near the Whispering Shadows' old base. She claims to have valuable information about their remaining operations and the locations of their hidden assets. The woman, her voice trembling slightly, introduced herself. My name is Aiko. I was once a part of the Whispering Shadows, but I left when I realized their methods were too extreme. I want to help you stop them and prevent further conflict. Kushina stepped forward, her expression one of cautious optimism. If you're willing to share what you know, we'll listen. But you need to understand that we have to be careful with our trust. Aiko nodded earnestly. I understand. I'll give you all the information I have. I just want to see an end to the chaos. The team gathered around as Aiko began to provide detailed information about the Whispering Shadows' remaining operations and secret assets. Her insights proved invaluable, and the team quickly formulated a plan to address the remaining threats and secure their position. In the days that followed, the Akatsuki continued their efforts to strengthen alliances and address potential threats. Naruto and Kushina worked tirelessly to ensure that their vision for the organization was clearly communicated and that their actions aligned with their ideals. During a break in their busy schedule, Naruto and Kushina found a moment to relax together. They took a walk through the Akatsuki's training grounds, enjoying the peaceful atmosphere that had become a rare respite from their intense responsibilities. Do you ever feel like we're making a difference? Kushina asked, her voice soft. Naruto looked at her, a thoughtful expression on his face. Sometimes it feels like we're fighting an uphill battle, but then I see the progress we're making and the support we're gaining. It gives me hope. Kushina smiled gently. We've come a long way, and we're building something meaningful. The road ahead may be challenging, but we're not alone in this. We have each other and our team to rely on. Naruto took her hand, his gaze steady. You're right. We've built something strong together, and we'll continue to build on it. No matter what challenges come our way, we'll face them together. As they walked, Naruto and Kushina felt a renewed sense of determination. Their journey was far from over, but their bond and commitment to their cause provided them with the strength they needed to continue their efforts. Back at headquarters, the team continued their work with a renewed sense of purpose. The information provided by Aiko proved instrumental in their efforts to neutralize the remaining threats and secure their position. The Whispering Shadows were effectively dismantled, and their influence was significantly reduced. With the immediate threats addressed, the Akatsuki focused on reinforcing their alliances and demonstrating their commitment to peace and support. Their efforts were beginning to bear fruit, with more villages and allies expressing their support for the organization's new direction. As the team celebrated their recent successes, Naruto and Kushina reflected on the progress they had made and the challenges that lay ahead. They were building a new legacy for the Akatsuki, one rooted in unity, support, and positive change. The future remained uncertain, but with their team by their side and their vision guiding them, Naruto and Kushina were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Their journey was far from over, but they were forging a path toward a brighter and more hopeful future. Chapter 9, Unveiling Shadows. The Akatsuki headquarters buzzed with activity as the team prepared for their next steps. With the Whispering Shadows significantly weakened, the focus shifted to consolidating their gains and fortifying their alliances. Naruto and Kushina were determined to ensure that the changes they were implementing would lead to lasting peace and stability. One evening, as Naruto reviewed reports in his office, a knock on the door interrupted his concentration. It was Deidara, carrying a package with a cryptic seal. Naruto, this arrived for you, Deidara said, placing the package on Naruto's desk. No return address or anything. Just this strange seal. Naruto examined the seal, his curiosity piqued. I've seen this before. It's from an old contact of mine. Let's see what's inside. He carefully opened the package, revealing a set of old documents and a small, ornate box. The documents were filled with detailed information about the Akatsuki's history, along with notes and annotations. The box contained a peculiar, ancient-looking artifact, a small, intricately carved stone. Kushina entered the room as Naruto examined the artifact. "What's all this?" she asked. "Not sure yet," Naruto replied, holding up the stone. "But it looks like it's important." The documents included references to a hidden archive of Akatsuki records, detailing the organization's origins and early activities. Among the notes was a reference to a long-lost artifact known as the Heart of the Akatsuki, rumored to possess immense power and knowledge. "This could be a clue to something significant," Kushina said, her eyes gleaming with interest. "If this artifact is what I think it is, it could provide us with valuable insights into the Akatsuki's early days and the true nature of their ideals." Naruto nodded in agreement. "We need to investigate further. If this artifact holds the key to understanding our past and shaping our future, it's worth pursuing." The team gathered to discuss their findings. Sasuke, Deidara, Kisame, and Aiko joined Naruto and Kushina, each bringing their own expertise to the investigation. Sasuke reviewed the documents with a critical eye. These notes mention a hidden archive located in an ancient temple, buried deep within a remote mountain range. It's likely that the heart of the Akatsuki is connected to this archive. Deidara added, "If the artifact is indeed powerful, it might be protected by strong defenses. We should be prepared for anything." Aiko, who had been studying the documents closely, spoke up. "I remember hearing stories about this archive. It's said to contain records of the Akatsuki's original goals and the powerful techniques they used. Finding it could give us a deeper understanding of what we're up against." The team prepared for their expedition, gathering supplies and mapping out their route to the ancient temple. The journey would be arduous, but the potential rewards were worth the effort. As they set out, the team traveled through rugged terrain, navigating treacherous paths and facing various challenges. Their progress was slow but steady, and they worked together to overcome obstacles and push forward. One night, while camping under the stars, Naruto and Kushina took a moment to reflect on their journey. The expedition had brought them closer together, and their bond had grown stronger. Kushina looked at Naruto with a thoughtful expression. "We've come so far, and we're making a difference. But there's still so much to uncover." Naruto took her hand, his gaze steady. "We're on the right path. The heart of the Akatsuki could be the key to understanding our past and guiding our future. We just need to stay focused and keep moving forward." Kushina smiled gently. "You're right. We'll find the answers we're looking for and continue to build a better future." As the team approached the ancient temple, they could feel the weight of history and the significance of their mission. The temple stood as a testament to the Akatsuki's origins, and its secrets held the potential to reshape their understanding of the organization's legacy. The temple's entrance was guarded by intricate puzzles and traps, testing their skills and teamwork. With each challenge they overcame, they drew closer to uncovering the truth. Finally, they reached the inner sanctum of the temple, where a grand chamber awaited them. The chamber was adorned with ancient symbols and inscriptions, and in the center stood a pedestal holding the heart of the Akatsuki. Naruto approached the pedestal, his heart racing with anticipation. As he reached for the artifact, a sudden rush of energy surged through the room, and the symbols on the walls began to glow. The artifact's power seemed to resonate with the temple, and the chamber was illuminated by a brilliant light. The team watched in awe as the ancient symbols revealed a hidden message, detailing the Akatsuki's true origins and the ideals that had guided its founders. The message spoke of a vision for a world where strength was used to protect and support others, rather than to dominate and control. It was a vision that aligned with Naruto and Kushina's goals for the organization, and it reinforced their commitment to their new direction. As the light faded and the chamber returned to its normal state, Naruto and Kushina felt a renewed sense of purpose. The heart of the Akatsuki had provided them with valuable insights and reaffirmed their mission. The team left the ancient temple with a deeper understanding of their legacy and a renewed determination to shape the future of the Akatsuki. Their journey was far from over, but they were now armed with the knowledge and resolve needed to continue their efforts. As they made their way back to headquarters, Naruto and Kushina reflected on their experiences and the challenges that lay ahead. The road to peace and unity was long and arduous, but with each step they took, they were forging a new path for the Akatsuki, one that embraced strength, support, and positive change. Chapter 10. The return journey from the ancient temple was marked by a sense of accomplishment and anticipation. The heart of the Akatsuki had provided invaluable insights, and the team was eager to apply their newfound knowledge to their mission. Naruto and Kushina were particularly excited about the revelations regarding the Akatsuki's origins and how they could align those ideals with their current goals. As they arrived back at headquarters, the atmosphere was electric with a mix of relief and excitement. The team quickly set to work reviewing the information from the heart of the Akatsuki and planning their next steps. The findings had given them a clearer vision of their mission and provided new strategies for achieving their objectives. Naruto gathered the team in the central meeting room to discuss their plans. The documents from the heart had revealed several key points about the Akatsuki's early goals and the techniques they had used. The team needed to understand how to integrate this knowledge into their current efforts. "Alright, everyone," Naruto began, addressing the gathered team. "The heart of the Akatsuki has given us a lot to think about. We've learned that our predecessors had a vision for using strength to protect and support others, rather than for dominance. We need to ensure that our actions reflect these ideals." Kushina added, "We've also uncovered information about powerful techniques and ancient allies that could be crucial to our mission. We need to evaluate how we can incorporate this into our strategy." Sasuke reviewed the notes with a focused expression. "There are references to several ancient techniques that could enhance our abilities and improve our chances of success. We should investigate these further and see if we can adapt them to our needs." Deidara chimed in, "There's also mention of old alliances that might be worth rekindling. We should reach out to these groups and gauge their willingness to support our cause." Kisame nodded in agreement. "Rebuilding alliances could strengthen our position and provide us with additional resources. It's worth pursuing." Aiko, who had been quietly studying the documents, spoke up. "The heart also mentions a hidden archive with records of various Akatsuki members and their contributions. Accessing this archive could give us more context and help us understand our predecessors better." Naruto looked thoughtful. "That's a good point. We should locate this archive and see what we can learn from it." The team quickly set to work on their new objectives. Sasuke and Deidara began researching the ancient techniques mentioned in the documents, while Kisame and Aiko reached out to potential allies to explore new alliances. Kushina and Naruto focused on locating the hidden archive and deciphering any additional information they could find. As the days passed, the team made significant progress. Sasuke and Deidara successfully adapted some of the ancient techniques, enhancing their combat abilities and strategic options. Kisame and Aiko established contact with several old allies, garnering support and resources for their mission. Naruto and Kushina's efforts to locate the hidden archive led them to an old, abandoned facility deep within a forest. The facility was overgrown and weathered by time, but it showed signs of having been important in the Akatsuki's early days. Inside the facility, they found a series of hidden chambers filled with ancient records and artifacts. The records detailed the contributions of various Akatsuki members, their successes, and their failures. It was a treasure trove of information that provided valuable context and insights into the organization's history. Among the records, Naruto and Kushina discovered detailed accounts of past leaders' strategies and the ethical dilemmas they faced. It became clear that the Akatsuki's original vision had been noble, but the organization had deviated from its ideals over time. "This is incredible," Kushina said, her voice filled with awe. "We have so much to learn from these records. It's like a guide to understanding our past and shaping our future. Naruto nodded in agreement. We need to make sure we honor the original vision while moving forward. This information will help us make informed decisions and avoid the mistakes of the past. As they reviewed the records, Naruto and Kushina realized that their mission was not just about rebuilding the Akatsuki but about redefining its legacy. They were committed to creating an organization that upheld its founding ideals and worked towards a better future for all. With the hidden archives knowledge in hand, the team returned to headquarters, ready to put their new insights into action. The Akatsuki was on a path of transformation, and their efforts were beginning to take shape. In the weeks that followed, the team continued to strengthen their alliances, enhance their abilities, and implement new strategies. The positive changes were becoming increasingly apparent, and the Akatsuki's influence was growing. One evening, as Naruto and Kushina reflected on their progress, they felt a sense of accomplishment and optimism. The journey ahead was still challenging, but they were confident in their ability to navigate it with the knowledge and support they had gained. We've come a long way, Kushina said, leaning against Naruto. But we still have a lot of work to do. Naruto smiled, his gaze steady. We'll keep pushing forward, together. We have the strength, the knowledge, and the support we need to make a difference. As they stood together, looking out over the Akatsuki headquarters, Naruto and Kushina felt a renewed sense of purpose. Their journey was far from over, but they were determined to continue their efforts and shape the future of the Akatsuki. Chapter 11, Shadows of Loyalty. The Akatsuki headquarters had never been so busy. The influx of new information from the hidden archive had sparked a flurry of activity as the team worked to integrate the knowledge into their strategies and operations. Naruto and Kushina were focused on ensuring that the changes they were implementing would be effective and aligned with their new vision. One afternoon, as Naruto and Kushina reviewed their plans in the main strategy room, a familiar figure entered the room. It was Orochimaru, who had recently rejoined the Akatsuki under their new direction. His presence was both a source of tension and a valuable asset. Lord Naruto, Lady Kushina, Orochimaru greeted, his voice smooth and measured. I believe I have completed the analysis of the artifacts we recovered. There are some intriguing findings I'd like to discuss. Naruto gestured for him to proceed. Go ahead, Orochimaru. What have you discovered? Orochimaru laid out several documents and a few small artifacts on the table. These artifacts are linked to some of the ancient techniques mentioned in the archive. They have distinct properties that could enhance our abilities. Additionally, the records provide insights into the techniques used by past Akatsuki members. Kushina examined the artifacts with interest. Are there any specific techniques that stand out? Orochimaru nodded. Yes, there are a few techniques that could significantly enhance our combat effectiveness and strategic capabilities. For example, there is an ancient sealing technique that could be used to create powerful barriers and traps. There's also a technique for enhancing physical and chakra abilities. Naruto's eyes gleamed with determination. We need to train our members in these techniques. If we can harness their power, it will give us a significant advantage. As they discussed the implications of the new techniques, Deidara entered the room, holding a small, sealed envelope. Naruto, Kushina, I received this letter from one of our new allies. It seems urgent. Naruto took the envelope and carefully opened it. The letter inside was from a prominent figure who had recently pledged support to the Akatsuki. The letter described a new threat emerging in the Land of Wind, a rogue faction that was causing unrest and destabilizing the region. We need to address this immediately, Naruto said, his expression serious. If this rogue faction is causing trouble, it could undermine our efforts and disrupt the stability we're working to achieve. Kushina nodded in agreement. We should send a team to investigate and address the situation. We need to ensure that our allies see us as capable and reliable. Naruto turned to Orochimaru and Deidara. Orochimaru, prepare the team with the new techniques. Deidara, I want you to coordinate with our allies in the Land of Wind and gather more information on this rogue faction. Orochimaru and Deidara quickly set to work, preparing the necessary arrangements for the mission. Naruto and Kushina made sure that their plans were in place, ensuring that their team would be well equipped and prepared for the challenges ahead. As the team departed for the Land of Wind, Naruto and Kushina remained behind to oversee the operation and continue their work on strengthening the Akatsuki's position. They knew that their efforts would be tested, and they were determined to navigate the challenges with resolve and wisdom. The journey to the Land of Wind was fraught with tension as the team approached the area affected by the rogue faction. The Land of Wind's desert landscape was a stark contrast to the lush forests and mountains of their previous location. The team was greeted by a local ally who provided them with detailed information about the rogue faction and their activities. The rogue faction, known as the Sand Serpents, was led by a powerful and charismatic figure who sought to gain control of the region through force and manipulation. They had been causing widespread chaos, attacking villages, and challenging local authorities. Naruto's team arrived at a village that had been heavily affected by the Sand Serpents. The villagers were in a state of panic, and the once thriving community was now in ruins. The team quickly assessed the situation and began to formulate a plan to restore order. Sasuke, Deidara, and Aiko took the lead in investigating the village and gathering intelligence on the Sand Serpents. They discovered that the faction was planning a major offensive to seize control of the region and undermine the local government. Naruto and Kushina, who had arrived with the main force, coordinated their efforts with the local resistance. They worked together to fortify the village and prepare for the impending attack. As the Sand Serpents launched their assault, Naruto and his team engaged in intense combat with the rogue faction's forces. The new techniques they had learned from the heart of the Akatsuki proved to be invaluable, enhancing their abilities and giving them a significant edge in the battle. The fight was fierce, but Naruto's team managed to repel the Sand Serpents and secure the village. The rogue faction's leader, however, remained elusive, and it became clear that the conflict was far from over. In the aftermath of the battle, Naruto and Kushina took a moment to reflect on their progress. The situation in the Land of Wind had been addressed, but the threat posed by the Sand Serpents was still a concern. "We've made significant progress," Kushina said, her voice filled with determination. "But we need to stay vigilant. The Sand Serpents are a serious threat, and we can't afford to let our guard down." Naruto nodded. "We'll continue to monitor the situation and support our allies. Our mission is far from over, but we're making a difference." As the team prepared to return to headquarters, Naruto and Kushina felt a renewed sense of purpose. The challenges they faced were daunting, but their commitment to their vision and their resolve to overcome obstacles remained strong. The journey had brought them closer together and strengthened their bond. As they looked ahead, they knew that their efforts were shaping the future of the Akatsuki and making a positive impact on the world. Chapter 12, The Hidden Agenda. Back at the Akatsuki headquarters, the atmosphere was a mix of relief and anticipation. The recent mission to the Land of Wind had been a success, but the lingering threat of the Sand Serpents was a reminder of the challenges still ahead. Naruto and Kushina were determined to stay ahead of their enemies and ensure their organization's success. Naruto sat in his office, reviewing the latest reports and strategizing their next moves. Kushina, who had been working alongside him, took a moment to rest her eyes and reflect on their recent accomplishments. The door to the office opened, and Sasuke entered, looking serious. "Lord Naruto, Lady Kushina," Sasuke began, "we've received some unsettling news. One of our scouts reported sightings of a group that appears to be connected to the Sand Serpents. They were seen heading towards a remote location in the Land of Wind." Kushina's eyes narrowed. "What kind of location?" Sasuke handed over a map, pointing to a secluded area surrounded by dense desert. "It's a hidden oasis with ancient ruins. It seems like a potential stronghold or a place of strategic importance." Naruto studied the map carefully. If they're heading there, it could mean they're planning something significant. We need to investigate and assess their intentions. Kushina agreed. We should send a reconnaissance team to gather more information. We need to know what they're up to and whether they pose a threat to our objectives. Naruto nodded. Sasuke, assemble a small team to scout the area. Make sure they stay covert and gather as much intel as possible. Sasuke left to prepare the team, while Naruto and Kushina continued their preparations. The reconnaissance mission was crucial to understanding the Sand Serpent's plans and ensuring the Akatsuki's continued success. A few days later, Sasuke's team returned with valuable information. They had discovered that the Sand Serpents were indeed using the hidden oasis as a base of operations. The rogue faction had uncovered an ancient relic from the ruins that seemed to enhance their abilities and influence. This relic could be a game-changer, Sasuke reported. It's said to have immense power and could potentially tip the balance in their favor. We need to secure it before they can fully harness its capabilities. Naruto's expression grew serious. We can't let them gain an advantage. We'll need to launch a targeted operation to retrieve the relic and neutralize the threat. Kushina suggested, we should also consider the possibility that the relic might be protected by traps or defenses. We'll need to plan our approach carefully. Naruto and Kushina quickly formulated a plan. They decided to deploy a strike team led by Naruto, with support from Kushina and Sasuke. The goal was to infiltrate the oasis, retrieve the relic, and neutralize any threats posed by the Sand Serpents. As the team prepared for their mission, tension and excitement filled the air. The stakes were high, and the success of the operation was critical to their overall strategy. Naruto and Kushina exchanged a determined glance, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Under the cover of night, the strike team set out for the hidden oasis. The desert landscape was treacherous, but their experience and training helped them navigate the harsh terrain. As they approached the oasis, they observed the Sand Serpents' camp from a distance, noting their numbers and defenses. Naruto signaled for the team to proceed with caution. They carefully infiltrated the camp, avoiding detection as they made their way towards the ancient ruins. The relic was rumored to be housed within a chamber deep inside the ruins, and the team needed to reach it before the Sand Serpents could fully activate its power. As they ventured into the ruins, they encountered several traps and defenses set by the Sand Serpents. The team worked together to bypass these obstacles, utilizing their skills and knowledge to overcome the challenges. Naruto and Kushina's leadership and coordination played a crucial role in ensuring the team's success. Finally, they reached the chamber where the relic was kept. The ancient artifact was a stunning sight, an ornate object with intricate symbols and glowing energy. The relic's power was palpable, and its presence was both awe-inspiring and intimidating. Naruto approached the relic cautiously. We need to secure this and ensure it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. As Naruto reached for the relic, the Sand Serpent's leader appeared, blocking their path. The leader was a formidable figure with a commanding presence, and it was clear that they had been expecting an intrusion. So, you've come for the relic, the leader said, their voice filled with malice. You're too late. The power of this artifact will make me unstoppable. Naruto's eyes narrowed. We won't let you use it to further your goals. Surrender now, and we can resolve this without further conflict. The leader laughed darkly. You think you can stop me? I've harnessed the relic's power already. You're no match for me. A fierce battle erupted between Naruto's team and the Sand Serpent's leader. The relic's power was formidable, but Naruto, Kushina, and Sasuke fought with determination and skill. They coordinated their attacks and used their newly acquired techniques to counter the leader's abilities. Despite the intensity of the battle, Naruto's team eventually gained the upper hand. With a final, decisive strike, they managed to defeat the Sand Serpent's leader and secure the relic. As the battle came to an end, Naruto and his team took a moment to catch their breath. The relic was now in their possession, and the immediate threat had been neutralized. Kushina approached Naruto with a smile. "We did it. The relic is secure, and the sand serpents have been dealt with." Naruto nodded, his expression resolute. "We've accomplished our goal, but we need to remain vigilant. There will always be new challenges, and we must be prepared to face them." The team returned to their headquarters, relieved and triumphant. The successful operation reinforced their commitment to their mission and strengthened their resolve. As they debriefed and celebrated their victory, Naruto and Kushina took a moment to reflect on their journey. The challenges they had faced had tested their strength and unity, but they had emerged stronger and more determined. Their mission was far from over, but they were confident in their ability to navigate the complexities of their role and shape the future of the Akatsuki. The path ahead was filled with uncertainty, but with their combined efforts and unwavering commitment, they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Chapter 13: The Unseen Threat. With the ancient relics secured and the immediate threat of the sand serpents neutralized, the Akatsuki headquarters returned to a semblance of normalcy. However, the victory was bittersweet as the team knew that the world of shinobi was filled with unseen dangers and evolving threats. Naruto and Kushina, though relieved, remained cautious, knowing that their enemies would not be idle. The next day, Naruto and Kushina met in their strategy room to discuss their next steps. The relic was currently being studied by Orochimaru and his team, who were analyzing its properties to understand its full potential. The information they gathered would be crucial for planning their future actions. Naruto leaned over the table, reviewing the latest reports. The sand serpents were a significant challenge, but we need to stay ahead of any new threats. We can't afford to become complacent. Kushina nodded in agreement. We should consider expanding our influence and strengthening our alliances. The more support we have, the better equipped we'll be to handle any future conflicts. As they were discussing their plans, a sudden burst of chakra energy resonated through the room. Naruto and Kushina exchanged concerned glances, sensing the disturbance. The source of the energy was coming from the underground training facility. They quickly made their way to the training area, where they found Sasuke and Deidara engaged in a fierce sparring match. Both were pushing their limits, and the intensity of their fight was causing the room to shake. "Sasuke! Deidara!" Naruto called out, trying to get their attention. "What's going on here?" Deidara, panting heavily, glanced at Naruto with a smirk. "Just testing our new techniques. We need to be ready for anything, after all." Sasuke, though still focused, nodded in agreement. "We've been pushing ourselves to enhance our abilities. If we're going to face stronger opponents, we need to be prepared." Kushina approached, her expression serious. "While training is important, we need to ensure that our focus is balanced. We have pressing matters to address." Naruto turned to Deidara and Sasuke. "We're receiving reports of unusual activity in the surrounding regions. It might be related to the relic we secured." Deidara raised an eyebrow. "You think there could be more factions interested in the relic's power?" Naruto nodded. "It's possible. We need to investigate these reports and determine if there are any new threats emerging." As the team prepared to investigate the disturbances, Orochimaru approached with a worried expression. "Lord Naruto, Lady Kushina, I have some concerning news. The relic's analysis has revealed a troubling aspect. It appears to be a key to a hidden network of ancient artifacts, each possessing significant power." Kushina's eyes widened. "So the relic we secured is just one part of a larger set?" Orochimaru nodded. "Yes, and it seems that whoever controls the complete set would have access to immense power. We need to find the other artifacts before they fall into the wrong hands." Naruto's expression hardened with determination. "We can't let this knowledge be used against us. We need to locate the remaining artifacts and ensure that they're secured." The team set out to investigate the unusual activity reported in the surrounding regions. Their journey led them to several hidden locations, each presenting its own set of challenges and dangers. Along the way, they encountered new enemies, each seeking to claim the power of the artifacts for their own purposes. One night, while camping in a secluded area, Naruto and Kushina sat by the campfire, discussing their findings and plans. The sky above was clear, and the desert landscape was eerily quiet. Kushina broke the silence. "We've made progress, but it feels like we're only scratching the surface. The more we uncover, the more we realize how vast and complex this network of artifacts is." Naruto nodded thoughtfully. "It's true. Each artifact seems to be tied to ancient secrets and powerful abilities. We need to be meticulous in our search and cautious of any traps or defenses." As they spoke, Deidara approached with a serious expression. "I've detected some unusual chakra signatures nearby. It might be related to the artifacts or other factions interested in them." Naruto and Kushina exchanged a concerned glance. "We should investigate immediately," Naruto said, rising to his feet. "Stay alert and be prepared for anything." The team moved quickly, following the chakra signatures to their source. They arrived at an ancient temple hidden in the desert, its entrance partially concealed by a powerful illusion. The temple's design was intricate, with symbols and carvings that hinted at its ancient origins. As they entered the temple, they found themselves in a large chamber filled with relics and artifacts, each radiating potent chakra energy. It was clear that this place was a significant site for ancient powers. Suddenly, a group of shadowy figures emerged from the darkness, their presence exuding a sense of danger. They were wearing cloaks similar to those of the Sand Serpents, indicating a possible connection to the rogue faction or another group seeking the artifacts. The leader of the shadowy figures stepped forward, revealing a menacing aura. "So, you've come to claim what doesn't belong to you. These artifacts are beyond your comprehension and control." Naruto stepped forward, his gaze unwavering. "We're here to secure these artifacts and prevent them from being used for destructive purposes. Surrender now, and we can resolve this without further conflict." The leader smirked. "You're welcome to try. But be warned, those who seek to control the ancient powers will face dire consequences." A fierce battle erupted in the temple as Naruto and his team engaged the shadowy figures. The chamber's ancient defenses activated, adding to the complexity of the fight. The team fought with skill and determination, using their new techniques and strategies to counter the enemies and secure the artifacts. Despite the challenges, Naruto's team managed to defeat the shadowy figures and secure the artifacts. The leader, defeated but defiant, disappeared into the shadows, leaving behind a cryptic message about the true nature of the relics and their power. As the dust settled, Naruto and his team collected the artifacts and prepared to leave the temple. The mission had been successful, but the message from the defeated leader lingered in their minds. Kushina approached Naruto, her expression thoughtful. "There's more to this than we initially realized. The leader's message suggests that the artifacts have a deeper significance and that our quest is far from over." Naruto nodded. "We need to stay vigilant and continue our search for the remaining artifacts. Our goal is to ensure that their power is used for good and not exploited by those who seek to cause harm." As the team left the temple and returned to their headquarters, they were more determined than ever to protect the world from the potential threats posed by the ancient relics. The challenges they faced were daunting, but their resolve and unity would guide them through the trials ahead. The journey had only just begun, and Naruto and his team were prepared to face the unknown with courage and determination, ready to uncover the mysteries of the ancient artifacts and protect their world from the shadows of power. Chapter 14, Shadows of the Past. The days following the successful mission to secure the ancient artifacts were filled with a mix of anticipation and concern. The Akatsuki had gained valuable knowledge about the relics, but their journey was far from over. The cryptic message from the defeated leader left them with more questions than answers, and the team knew they needed to delve deeper into the mysteries surrounding the artifacts. Back at the Akatsuki headquarters, Naruto and Kushina reviewed the newly acquired artifacts and studied their inscriptions. The relics seemed to hold ancient knowledge and powerful abilities, but their full potential was still unclear. As Naruto and Kushina worked, Sasuke entered the room with a serious expression. "Lord Naruto, Lady Kushina, we've received another report. It seems that there have been increased sightings of suspicious activity in the Land of Water." Naruto looked up from the artifacts. "The Land of Water? We haven't had much intel from that region recently. What kind of activity are we talking about?" Sasuke nodded. "The reports indicate the presence of a new faction that appears to be interested in the ancient artifacts. They've been seen gathering resources and allies, which suggests they might be preparing for something significant." Kushina frowned. "If they're after the artifacts, they could pose a serious threat. We need to investigate this immediately." Naruto agreed. "Prepare a reconnaissance team to gather more information about this new faction. We need to understand their intentions and assess their level of threat." Sasuke quickly organized a team to investigate the Land of Water, while Naruto and Kushina continued their research on the artifacts. They hoped to uncover any additional clues that might help them understand the true nature of the relics and their significance. A few days later, Sasuke's team returned with a detailed report. The new faction, known as the Abyssal Sect, was a group of rogue shinobi with a reputation for manipulating dark powers. They had been actively seeking the ancient artifacts, believing that they would grant them unparalleled strength. The Abyssal Sect is led by a powerful figure known as the Shadow Empress, Sasuke reported. She has a history of using forbidden techniques and has been gathering followers with similar abilities. They're highly organized and pose a significant threat. Naruto's expression grew serious. "The Shadow Empress? We've heard rumors about her, but this is the first concrete information we've received. We need to deal with this threat before they can harness the power of the artifacts." Kushina nodded. "We should send a strike team to the Land of Water to confront the Abyssal Sect and prevent them from obtaining the artifacts. We also need to gather more information about their plans and any potential allies they might have." The team prepared for their mission, gathering intelligence and strategizing their approach. The Land of Water was known for its treacherous terrain and powerful defenders, making the mission both challenging and dangerous. As they set out for the Land of Water, Naruto and Kushina reflected on their journey. The quest for the ancient artifacts had led them to confront formidable enemies and uncover hidden truths. Their resolve to protect the world from these threats only grew stronger. Upon arrival in the Land of Water, the team faced a series of obstacles, including harsh weather and hostile forces. The Abyssal Sect's base was hidden within a series of ancient ruins, protected by powerful defenses and traps. Navigating the ruins was no easy task. The team encountered various challenges, including complex puzzles and powerful guardians. Despite the difficulties, Naruto and his team pressed on, determined to reach the heart of the Abyssal Sect's stronghold. After overcoming several trials, the team finally reached the inner sanctum of the ruins, where the Shadow Empress awaited them. The atmosphere was heavy with dark chakra, and the presence of the Shadow Empress was palpable. "So, you've come to challenge me," the Shadow Empress said, her voice echoing with authority. "You're too late. The artifacts are already within my grasp, and soon, I will wield their power to reshape the world." Naruto stepped forward, his expression resolute. "We won't let you use the artifacts for your own ends. Surrender now, and we can avoid further conflict." The Shadow Empress's eyes glowed with dark energy. "You think you can stop me? My power is beyond your comprehension. Prepare to face the full extent of my wrath." A fierce battle erupted between Naruto's team and the Shadow Empress. The dark chakra she wielded was formidable, and her abilities posed a significant challenge. The team fought with skill and determination, using their newly acquired techniques and strategies to counter her attacks. During the battle, the Shadow Empress unleashed a series of powerful techniques, including illusions and dark energy blasts. Naruto and his team struggled to keep up, but their teamwork and coordination allowed them to hold their ground. As the battle raged on, Naruto and Kushina noticed that the Shadow Empress seemed to be drawing power from the artifacts. It became clear that their true goal was to harness the artifact's power to enhance her own abilities. "We need to disrupt her connection to the artifacts," Naruto shouted. "If we can sever her link, we might be able to weaken her." Kushina nodded and focused her efforts on targeting the artifacts. With precise attacks, she managed to disrupt the Shadow Empress's connection to the relics, causing her power to fluctuate. Seeing an opportunity, Naruto and Sasuke launched a coordinated assault, striking the Shadow Empress with a series of powerful attacks. Despite her formidable defenses, the combined efforts of Naruto's team proved to be overwhelming. In a final, decisive strike, Naruto landed a powerful blow that defeated the Shadow Empress and neutralized the immediate threat. The dark energy dissipated, and the artifacts were secured. Breathing heavily, Naruto approached the defeated Shadow Empress. "The artifacts are safe, and your plans have been thwarted. It's time for you to face the consequences of your actions." The Shadow Empress, weakened and defeated, glared at Naruto with defiance. "This isn't over. There are always more shadows lurking in the darkness. You've only scratched the surface of the true power that lies hidden." As the team collected the artifacts and prepared to leave the ruins, they reflected on their victory and the challenges that lay ahead. The defeat of the Shadow Empress was a significant achievement, but the message she left behind served as a reminder that their quest was far from over. Returning to their headquarters, Naruto and his team resumed their research and planning. The journey to secure the ancient artifacts continued, with new threats and mysteries emerging along the way. Despite the challenges, Naruto and his team remained committed to their mission. Their unity, strength, and determination would guide them through the trials ahead as they continued to uncover the secrets of the ancient relics and protect their world from the shadows of power. Chapter 15. With the defeat of the Shadow Empress, the Akatsuki team returned to their headquarters with a sense of accomplishment but also a heightened awareness of the dangers that still lay ahead. The ancient relics were now in their possession, but the cryptic warning from their adversary left them with a lingering sense of unease. The artifacts were carefully stored in a secure chamber, and the team gathered in the strategy room to discuss their next steps. The room was filled with a mixture of relief and tension as they prepared to delve deeper into their investigation. Naruto glanced around at his team. "We've made significant progress, but the Shadow Empress's warning about hidden threats has us on high alert. We need to take a closer look at the artifacts and understand their true nature." Kushina nodded in agreement. "The relics we've secured might hold more secrets than we realize. We need to consult with our experts and see if there are any additional clues or hidden powers." Orochimaru, who had been studying the artifacts, entered the room with a thoughtful expression. "I've made some intriguing discoveries. The relics are indeed powerful, and they seem to be connected to a series of ancient prophecies." Naruto's interest was piqued. "Prophecies? What do they say?" Orochimaru continued. "The prophecies speak of a time when the balance of power will be disrupted, and a chosen few will rise to either restore or reshape the world. The artifacts are said to play a crucial role in this process." Kushina frowned. "So, the artifacts might be part of a larger scheme or prophecy that we don't fully understand yet." Orochimaru nodded. "Precisely. We need to investigate these prophecies further and determine how they might impact our mission. The more we know, the better prepared we will be." As the team began to study the prophecies, they uncovered references to ancient legends and hidden forces. The prophecies hinted at a grand conflict that would shape the fate of the world, with the artifacts serving as pivotal elements in this struggle. Naruto and Kushina decided to visit a nearby village known for its historical archives and expertise in ancient lore. The village had long been a repository of knowledge about forgotten legends and artifacts. Upon arrival, they were greeted by the village elder, an elderly woman with a deep understanding of the ancient texts. She led them to the archives, where they began to explore the extensive collection of historical records and manuscripts. The elder, whose name was Hikari, examined the artifacts with great interest. These relics are indeed remarkable. They align with several prophecies and legends that have been passed down through generations. Hikari pointed to an ancient manuscript that detailed the connection between the artifacts and a series of celestial events. According to this text, the artifacts are linked to a cosmic alignment that occurs once every millennium. This alignment is said to unlock a hidden power within the relics. Naruto studied the manuscript closely. So, the celestial alignment could be the key to unlocking the full potential of the artifacts. When does this alignment occur? Hikari consulted a celestial chart. The alignment is set to occur within the next few weeks. It is a rare event that has significant implications for those who seek to harness the power of the artifacts. Kushina's eyes narrowed in thought. We need to prepare for this alignment and ensure that we are ready to safeguard the relics. If there are others who seek to exploit this event, we must be vigilant. Hikari nodded. I can assist you in preparing for the alignment. There are rituals and preparations that can enhance the effectiveness of the artifacts and protect them from those who would misuse their power. The team spent the next few days in the village, working closely with Hikari to prepare for the celestial alignment. They conducted rituals, fortified their defenses, and ensured that the artifacts were properly secured. As the day of the alignment approached, Naruto and Kushina reflected on their journey. The discovery of the prophecies and the impending celestial event had added a new layer of complexity to their mission. One evening, while taking a break from their preparations, Naruto and Kushina sat by the village's tranquil river. The peaceful surroundings offered a brief respite from the intensity of their mission. Kushina looked at Naruto with a thoughtful expression. This has been a challenging journey, but I feel like we're making progress. The prophecies and artifacts have revealed so much, and I'm grateful to have you by my side. Naruto smiled and took her hand. I feel the same way. We've faced many dangers and obstacles, but we've also grown stronger together. We're not just protecting the artifacts, we're fighting for a future where we can make a difference. As the celestial alignment drew closer, the team prepared for the final stages of their mission. They were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, determined to ensure that the power of the artifacts would be used for the greater good. The night of the alignment arrived, and the skies were filled with celestial brilliance. The artifacts began to glow with a radiant light, their energy resonating with the cosmic forces. Naruto, Kushina, and their team stood together, ready to witness the culmination of their efforts. The celestial alignment was a pivotal moment in their journey, and they were prepared to protect the relics and navigate the challenges that lay ahead. As the alignment reached its peak, the artifacts revealed a hidden power, and the team braced themselves for the impact. The night was filled with a sense of anticipation and wonder, as the ancient forces and prophecies unfolded before their eyes. The battle to protect the world from the shadows of power was far from over. But Naruto and his team were determined to see it through. Their journey continued, guided by their courage, unity, and the promise of a brighter future. Chapter 16: The Celestial Convergence. The night of the celestial alignment arrived with a breathtaking display of cosmic grandeur. The sky was ablaze with celestial colors, and the air was filled with an electric tension. The artifacts, now fully activated by the cosmic energy, emitted a powerful aura that resonated throughout the Akatsuki headquarters and the surrounding village. Naruto, Kushina, and their team stood at the heart of the ritual site, surrounded by intricate symbols and protective barriers. The artifacts were placed on a central altar, their energy pulsing in harmony with the celestial alignment. Hikari, the village elder, was conducting the final rituals, her movements precise and deliberate. "The alignment is reaching its peak," she announced. "We must be prepared for any disturbances. The power of the artifacts will be at its strongest during this period." Naruto nodded, his gaze focused on the artifacts. "We need to be vigilant. If there are any other parties interested in the artifacts, this is the moment they will strike." As the celestial energies intensified, a sudden disturbance rippled through the area. The protective barriers flickered, and a dark presence began to manifest near the ritual site. Naruto and his team immediately went on high alert, their senses attuned to the emerging threat. From the shadows emerged a group of masked figures, their intentions clear. They were members of a clandestine organization known as the Eclipse Order, rumored to be interested in acquiring powerful artifacts for their own nefarious purposes. One of the masked figures stepped forward, revealing a chilling smile. "So, the Akatsuki has managed to gather the artifacts and prepare for the alignment. How fortunate for us. We were planning to acquire them ourselves." Naruto's eyes narrowed. "You're not getting anywhere near these artifacts. We've worked too hard to protect them from falling into the wrong hands." The leader of the Eclipse Order raised a hand, and dark energy surged towards the artifacts, attempting to disrupt the alignment. The sudden attack caused the artifacts to flare with a brilliant light, pushing back against the encroaching darkness. Kushina, standing beside Naruto, channeled her chakra to reinforce the protective barriers. "We need to hold them off and ensure that the alignment remains intact. If the artifacts are tampered with, it could have catastrophic consequences." A fierce battle ensued between Naruto's team and the Eclipse Order. The dark figures wielded powerful jutsu and dark magic, making them formidable opponents. Naruto and his team fought valiantly, using their skills and teamwork to counter the attacks and protect the artifacts. The struggle was intense, with powerful techniques and clashes of energy filling the night sky. Naruto, using his mastery of elemental chakra and combat skills, engaged the Eclipse Order's leader in a fierce duel. The leader's dark powers were impressive, but Naruto's resolve and determination proved to be a match. Meanwhile, Kushina and Hikari worked together to maintain the integrity of the celestial alignment. Hikari's ancient rituals and Kushina's chakra reinforced the protective barriers, preventing further disruption of the artifact's energy. Despite their best efforts, the Eclipse Order continued to press their attack, seeking to break through the defenses and seize the artifacts. Naruto and his team remained focused, their resolve unwavering as they fought to protect the relics and ensure that the alignment was completed. The battle reached its climax as the celestial alignment reached its zenith. The artifact's energy surged with unparalleled intensity, creating a radiant barrier that repelled the Eclipse Order's dark forces. The overwhelming light and energy pushed back against the darkness, sealing the artifact's power and preventing further interference. In the final moments of the battle, Naruto delivered a decisive blow to the Eclipse Order's leader, neutralizing the immediate threat. The remaining members of the organization were forced to retreat, their plans thwarted by the Akatsuki's determination and resilience. As the celestial alignment concluded, the artifact's energy began to stabilize, and the protective barriers remained intact. The night sky slowly returned to its normal state, the cosmic brilliance fading as the alignment ended. Naruto and his team, though exhausted, stood victorious. The artifacts were safe, and the threat posed by the Eclipse Order had been averted. The experience had tested their strength and unity, but they had emerged stronger and more resolute. Hikari approached Naruto and Kushina, offering a relieved smile. "You've done well. The artifacts are secure, and the alignment was completed successfully. The cosmic forces are now in balance." Kushina smiled gratefully. "Thank you for your assistance. We couldn't have done it without your help." As the team prepared to return to their headquarters, Naruto and Kushina reflected on the challenges they had faced. The battle had been fierce, but their victory had reaffirmed their commitment to protecting the world from the shadows of power. The journey was far from over, and new challenges and mysteries awaited them. The celestial alignment had revealed the artifact's hidden power, and the prophecies hinted at further trials to come. With their mission accomplished for now, Naruto and his team set their sights on the future. They were ready to face whatever lay ahead, guided by their courage, unity, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Chapter 17, The Hidden Chamber. The aftermath of the celestial alignment left the Akatsuki headquarters abuzz with activity. The team was now tasked with a crucial next step, examining the artifact's newly unlocked potential and deciphering their deeper secrets. Naruto and Kushina, along with their allies, gathered in the strategy room, eager to explore what the alignment had revealed. Naruto looked over the artifacts with a mix of awe and curiosity. We managed to protect the artifacts, but they still hold mysteries we haven't fully uncovered. There must be more to them than what we've seen. Orochimaru, still intrigued by the artifacts, nodded. Indeed. The cosmic alignment has amplified their power, and we need to determine how this change affects their properties. There might be hidden features or functions we need to explore. Kushina joined in, examining one of the relics closely. We should start by analyzing the inscriptions and symbols on the artifacts. There might be hidden messages or clues that could guide us. The team set to work, using their various skills to analyze the artifacts. Orochimaru used his extensive knowledge of ancient texts, while Kushina's sensory abilities helped to detect any subtle changes in the artifact's energy. Meanwhile, Naruto used his own intuition and experience with powerful relics to guide their efforts. As they delved deeper, they discovered an unusual pattern within the inscriptions. It seemed to point to a hidden chamber, one that was not previously known. The inscriptions hinted at a location where the true power of the artifacts could be unlocked. This chamber could be crucial, Orochimaru said, his eyes gleaming with excitement. If it exists, it may hold the key to understanding the full potential of the artifacts. Naruto, fueled by a sense of adventure and curiosity, was determined to find this hidden chamber. Let's follow these clues and see where they lead. We need to be thorough and cautious, though. There could be traps or challenges along the way. Kushina agreed. I'll help with the search. If there are any dangers or traps, my chakra can help detect and neutralize them. The team set out on a journey to locate the hidden chamber. The artifact's clues led them to an ancient, secluded ruin deep within a dense forest. The ruins were overgrown with vegetation and shrouded in mystery. As they explored the area, they encountered various challenges, including intricate puzzles and ancient traps designed to deter intruders. The team worked together, using their combined skills to overcome these obstacles. One particularly challenging puzzle involved aligning ancient symbols to open a concealed passage. Naruto and Kushina used their complementary skills, Naruto's sharp intuition and Kushina's chakra sensing, to solve the puzzle, revealing a hidden doorway. Beyond the doorway lay a dark, winding passage leading deep underground. The team proceeded with caution, their footsteps echoing through the ancient tunnel. At the end of the passage, they entered a vast chamber illuminated by the artifact's light. The chamber was adorned with intricate carvings and symbols that glowed faintly in the darkness. In the center of the room stood an ancient pedestal, upon which was an ornate book. Orochimaru approached the pedestal with reverence. This book could be the key to unlocking the artifact's full power. It might contain the knowledge we need to understand their true nature. Naruto nodded, his gaze fixed on the book. Let's see what it reveals. Orochimaru carefully opened the book, revealing pages filled with ancient text and illustrations. As he translated the text, he discovered detailed information about the artifacts and their connection to a hidden power. The book describes an ancient ritual that can fully activate the artifacts, Orochimaru explained. It involves channeling the energy of the celestial alignment into the artifacts in a specific way. This ritual will unlock their true potential. Kushina examined the chamber's carvings, which seemed to provide instructions for the ritual. We need to perform this ritual here, using the artifacts and the energy we've gathered. It looks like we'll need to synchronize with the artifacts to complete it. The team prepared for the ritual, following the instructions from the book and the carvings. The process was intricate and required precise coordination between the team members. As they worked, the artifact's energy began to resonate with the chamber, creating a powerful, harmonious aura. The ritual reached its climax as the artifacts were activated, their energy surging and coalescing into a brilliant light. The hidden power within the artifacts was fully revealed, and the chamber was filled with a sense of awe and wonder. As the light subsided, the team felt a renewed sense of strength and clarity. The artifacts had unlocked their full potential, and the hidden chamber had revealed its secrets. Naruto looked around at his team, a sense of accomplishment in his eyes. We've done it. The artifacts are now fully activated, and we've gained valuable knowledge about their true power. Kushina smiled, her eyes reflecting the artifact's glow. This is a significant step forward. We've uncovered important information, and we're better prepared for whatever challenges lie ahead. Orochimaru closed the book with a satisfied nod. The knowledge we've gained will be invaluable in our ongoing mission. We must continue to use it wisely and remain vigilant. With the hidden chamber's secrets revealed and the artifact's power unlocked, Naruto and his team prepared to return to their headquarters. Their journey had taken them through ancient ruins and unveiled hidden truths, strengthening their resolve and deepening their understanding of their mission. As they made their way back, they knew that their path was far from over. New challenges and adventures awaited them, but they were ready to face them with newfound knowledge and unity. The journey to protect the world from hidden threats continued, and Naruto and his team were more determined than ever to fulfill their mission and ensure a brighter future for all. Chapter 18. The Akatsuki headquarters was abuzz with activity as Naruto, Kushina, and their team returned from their successful expedition. The revelation of the artifact's full potential had brought a sense of accomplishment, but it also raised new questions and concerns about the future. Naruto and Kushina were in the main briefing room, discussing their next steps. Orochimaru had taken the book to his lab to study it further, while the rest of the team gathered to review their findings. This new information is crucial, Naruto said, pacing the room. But we need to understand how it fits into the larger picture. There must be more to the artifacts and their role in the cosmic balance. Kushina nodded. The ancient text mentioned something about a prophecy connected to the artifacts. We should investigate that further. There might be clues about future events or threats. As they discussed their plans, a sudden, urgent knock on the door interrupted them. An ANBU operative entered, his face hidden behind his mask. Lord Naruto, we have an urgent situation, the operative said. A powerful energy signature has been detected near the ruins. It seems to be linked to an old enemy. Naruto's eyes widened. An old enemy? Do we know who it is? The operative nodded. It appears to be someone from the past, an individual with a deep connection to the artifacts and their history. The energy signature matches records of an ancient adversary who sought to control the artifacts for their own purposes. Kushina's expression grew serious. If this enemy is connected to the artifacts, they could pose a significant threat. We need to investigate and neutralize any potential danger. The team quickly mobilized, heading back to the ruins to confront the new threat. The journey was swift, and as they approached the site, they could feel the residual energy from the artifacts pulsing in the air. Upon arriving, they discovered a figure standing amidst the ruins, cloaked in shadows. The figure's presence was imposing, and an aura of malevolence surrounded them. The figure turned, revealing a familiar face, a figure from Naruto's past, long believed to be lost. It was Madara Uchiha, revived and wielding the power of the artifacts. Madara's eyes gleamed with dark determination. Naruto Uzumaki. It seems you've been busy. I've come to reclaim what was once mine and fulfill my destiny. Naruto's expression hardened. Madara. I should have known you'd find a way back. You won't succeed this time. We've worked too hard to protect these artifacts from people like you. Madara chuckled darkly. You misunderstand. The artifacts hold the key to ultimate power, and I intend to harness it. The cosmic alignment has given me a unique advantage, and nothing will stand in my way. A fierce battle erupted as Naruto and his team faced off against Madara and his newly acquired powers. The fight was intense, with Madara using the artifact's energy to enhance his abilities and unleash devastating attacks. Naruto and his allies fought valiantly, using their skills and strategies to counter Madara's onslaught. Kushina and Hikari worked together to neutralize the artifact's energy that Madara was manipulating, while Naruto engaged Madara in a fierce duel. During the battle, Madara revealed more about his plans and his connection to the artifacts. He sought to use their power to reshape the world according to his vision, eliminating any resistance and establishing his own rule. Despite the overwhelming odds, Naruto remained focused and determined. His resolve to protect the world and the artifacts drove him to push past his limits. He and Kushina, along with their allies, combined their efforts to counter Madara's dark ambitions. As the battle reached its peak, Naruto and Madara clashed in a final, decisive confrontation. Their fight was a testament to their contrasting ideals, Naruto's hope and determination versus Madara's darkness and ambition. In a dramatic moment, Naruto unleashed the full power of his own abilities, channeling the energy of the artifacts to create a brilliant, purifying force. The surge of light overwhelmed Madara, breaking his control over the artifacts and forcing him into retreat. Madara, defeated but not entirely vanquished, vanished into the shadows, vowing to return and continue his quest for power. The battle left Naruto and his team exhausted but victorious. As the dust settled, Naruto and Kushina surveyed the aftermath. The ruins were scarred by the battle, but the artifacts remained secure. The immediate threat had been neutralized, but the encounter had revealed deeper layers to the artifacts' history and their connection to past conflicts. We've won this battle, Naruto said, his voice weary but resolute. But Madara's return is a reminder that there are still dangers we need to prepare for. Kushina nodded. We need to continue studying the artifacts and understanding their full significance. The prophecy and our enemies will shape the path ahead. The team returned to their headquarters, their minds heavy with the knowledge of the challenges to come. The battle with Madara had tested their strength and resolve, but it also underscored the importance of their mission. As they prepared for the next phase of their journey, Naruto and his allies knew that the road ahead would be fraught with uncertainty and danger. But they were united in their purpose, ready to face whatever trials lay ahead with courage and determination. The echoes of the past had resurfaced, and the future remained uncertain. But with their strength, unity, and the knowledge they had gained, Naruto and his team were prepared to confront the challenges and protect the world from the shadows that threatened it. Chapter 19, Shattered Illusions. The Akatsuki headquarters was quiet as the team recovered from their recent battle with Madara Uchiha. The defeat of such a formidable opponent had been a significant victory, but it also brought a new set of challenges. The team needed to regroup and reassess their strategies for the future. Naruto and Kushina were in the command room, poring over the new data they had collected about the artifacts. The defeat of Madara had provided some clues, but there was still much to understand. Kushina glanced at Naruto, her concern evident. Naruto, we need to address the larger implications of Madara's return. He's not just a threat to us, his ambitions could destabilize the entire world. Naruto nodded, his expression thoughtful. I know. We've seen how dangerous he can be, especially with the artifact's power. We need to be proactive and ensure we're prepared for any future threats. As they discussed their plans, Orochimaru entered the room, carrying a stack of documents and ancient texts. His face was a mask of concentration. I've been analyzing the information we've gathered, and there are some troubling patterns emerging. Naruto and Kushina looked at Orochimaru with interest. "What have you found?" Naruto asked. Orochimaru laid out the documents on the table. The texts suggest that Madara's ambitions are part of a larger scheme. There's mention of a hidden order that has been influencing events behind the scenes. This order seems to have a long history with the artifacts and could be connected to other powerful enemies. Kushina's eyes widened. A hidden order? If they've been manipulating events, it could mean that Madara was just a pawn in a much bigger game. Orochimaru nodded. Exactly. We need to uncover more about this order and their plans. It's possible that they've been orchestrating conflicts and using the artifacts to further their goals. Naruto's determination flared. Then we need to find out who they are and what they're planning. We can't let them achieve their objectives. Let's start by tracing any leads related to this hidden order. The team set out to investigate further, using their resources and connections to gather information about the mysterious order. They followed leads that took them to various locations, including ancient libraries, hidden archives, and secretive meetings. During their investigation, they uncovered fragments of information about the Order's history and its members. The Order, known as the Eclipsed Hand, was an ancient organization that had long sought to control powerful artifacts and manipulate events to create a new world order. The Eclipsed Hand had a complex hierarchy and employed various tactics to achieve their goals. They had infiltrated different factions and organizations, influencing key decisions and events from the shadows. As the team delved deeper, they discovered that the Eclipsed Hand had been behind several recent conflicts and power struggles. Their influence extended far beyond what anyone had anticipated. Naruto and Kushina, along with their allies, continued their investigation, uncovering more about the Eclipsed Hand's plans and their ultimate objectives. They learned that the Order sought to harness the artifact's power to reshape the world according to their vision, creating a new era of control and dominance. As they gathered information, the team also encountered several members of the Eclipsed Hand. These encounters were fraught with danger, as the Order's members were skilled and ruthless. Each confrontation provided new insights into the Order's operations and their long-term plans. One of the most significant discoveries was a hidden facility that the Eclipsed Hand used for their operations. The facility contained detailed records of their activities, including plans for future actions and information about their key members. Naruto and his team infiltrated the facility, carefully navigating through its defenses and security measures. Inside, they found a wealth of information about the Eclipsed Hand's plans, including their upcoming schemes and the extent of their influence. The team retrieved important documents and data from the facility, which they used to piece together the Order's objectives and strategies. The information revealed a disturbing truth: the Eclipsed Hand was planning a major offensive that would destabilize the world and give them unprecedented control. With this new knowledge, Naruto and his team prepared to confront the Eclipsed Hand and thwart their plans. They knew that the upcoming conflict would be challenging and that they needed to be ready for anything. As they reviewed the information, Kushina looked at Naruto with a mix of determination and concern. "We've uncovered a lot, but there's still much to do. We need to rally our allies and prepare for the Eclipsed Hand's offensive." Naruto nodded, his resolve unwavering. "We'll do whatever it takes to protect the world and stop their plans. We have the strength and the knowledge to face this threat head-on." The team began mobilizing their allies and preparing for the confrontation with the Eclipsed Hand. The stakes were higher than ever, and the future of the world depended on their ability to overcome the Order's schemes. As they geared up for the battle ahead, Naruto and his team were united in their purpose. They were ready to face the challenges that awaited them and to confront the hidden order that threatened their world. The echoes of the past had led them to this crucial moment, and the path forward would be fraught with danger and uncertainty. But with their determination and the strength of their bonds, Naruto and his allies were prepared to confront the Eclipsed Hand and protect the world from the shadows that sought to engulf it. Chapter 20: The Gathering Storm. The tension in the Akatsuki headquarters was palpable as Naruto and his team prepared for the inevitable confrontation with the Eclipsed Hand. The information they had gathered painted a grim picture of the Order's plans and their far-reaching influence. Naruto, Kushina, Orochimaru, and the rest of the team gathered in the main briefing room, strategizing their next steps. The documents from the hidden facility had revealed the Eclipsed Hand strategy for their upcoming offensive, which involved destabilizing key regions and creating chaos to weaken their enemies. "We need to be strategic about our response," Naruto said, laying out a map of the regions that were likely to be targeted by the Eclipsed Hand. "If we can anticipate their moves and strengthen our defenses, we might be able to mitigate some of the damage." Kushina nodded, her expression resolute. "We should focus on the regions with the most strategic value. If we can secure these areas and gather support from the local factions, we'll be in a stronger position to confront the Eclipsed Hand." Orochimaru, always meticulous, examined the documents further. "According to the information, the Eclipsed Hand has already begun their offensive. We've detected unusual activity in several key areas, indicating that their plans are already in motion." The team split into groups, each assigned to different regions based on their strategic importance. Their goal was to fortify defenses, rally allies, and gather intelligence on the Eclipsed Hand's movements. Naruto and Kushina's team headed towards a particularly vulnerable region known for its rich resources and strategic location. It was crucial to secure this area to prevent the Eclipsed Hand from gaining a foothold. As they arrived, they were greeted by local leaders who were wary but willing to cooperate. Naruto and Kushina worked to build trust with the leaders, explaining the gravity of the situation and the importance of their support. While negotiating with the local leaders, Naruto encountered an unexpected ally, a former member of the Eclipsed Hand who had defected. The ally, a skilled strategist named Akira, offered valuable insights into the Order's tactics and plans. "I've seen their operations up close," Akira said, his voice filled with urgency. "The Eclipsed Hand is not just after control, they're looking to trigger a series of conflicts that will plunge the world into chaos. Their goal is to create a power vacuum that they can exploit." Naruto and Kushina listened intently, recognizing the gravity of Akira's information. "How can we counter their plans?" Naruto asked. Akira's eyes were determined. "You need to disrupt their supply lines and communication networks. If you can sever their ability to coordinate and resupply, it will significantly weaken their offensive capabilities." With this new strategy in mind, Naruto and Kushina set out to implement their plan. They coordinated with the local forces to launch a series of targeted operations aimed at disrupting the Eclipsed Hand's logistics and communication. The operations were challenging, requiring precision and coordination. Naruto and his team faced numerous skirmishes and battles, each one testing their resolve and abilities. Their efforts were met with resistance, but they steadily made progress in undermining the Eclipsed Hand's plans. Meanwhile, Orochimaru and his team worked on fortifying the other regions and gathering additional allies. The information they had collected was used to bolster defenses and prepare for potential attacks. The situation was dynamic, with the Eclipsed Hand adapting their strategies in response to the disruptions. The battle was not just one of strength but also of wits and strategy. As the days passed, the tide of the conflict began to shift. The disruptions caused by Naruto's team and the fortifications established by Orochimaru's team started to have a noticeable impact on the Eclipsed Hand's operations. Despite the progress, the threat was far from over. The Eclipsed Hand continued to pursue their objectives with relentless determination, and their plans for a larger offensive were still in motion. One night, as Naruto and Kushina reviewed their progress, they received an urgent message from Orochimaru. The message revealed that the Eclipsed Hand was preparing for a major assault on a crucial stronghold that was key to the entire region's stability. "We need to act quickly," Naruto said, his tone serious. "If they succeed in their assault, it could be a turning point in their favor. We must reinforce the stronghold and prepare for the battle." Kushina agreed. We have to mobilize all available forces and ensure that we're ready for their attack. This will be a decisive moment in the conflict. The team prepared for the upcoming battle, coordinating with their allies and reinforcing their positions. The stronghold was heavily fortified, but the Eclipsed Hand's offensive was expected to be formidable. As the battle loomed, Naruto and Kushina reflected on the challenges they had faced and the sacrifices they had made. Their resolve was unwavering, and they were determined to protect the world from the threat of the Eclipsed Hand. The gathering storm of conflict was approaching its climax, and the outcome of the battle would have far-reaching consequences. With their allies by their side and their determination as strong as ever, Naruto and his team braced themselves for the confrontation that would determine the fate of their world. Chapter 21, Clash of Titans. The night before the impending battle, the stronghold buzzed with activity as Naruto, Kushina, and their allies made final preparations. The mood was a mix of anxious anticipation and steely resolve. The fortified stronghold, a bastion of resistance, was surrounded by a sprawling camp of soldiers and support staff, all bracing for the onslaught of the Eclipsed Hand. Naruto and Kushina walked through the camp, checking on the defenses and ensuring everything was in place. The moonlight cast eerie shadows across the battlefield, and the distant sounds of preparation echoed through the night. Kushina turned to Naruto, her eyes reflecting both concern and determination. This is going to be one of our toughest battles. But we've prepared as best we can. We just need to stay focused and work together. Naruto nodded, his expression resolute. We've faced difficult challenges before. We'll face this one with the same strength and determination. Our allies are ready, and we've disrupted their plans as much as possible. Now we just need to hold the line. As dawn approached, the first signs of the Eclipsed Hand's forces became visible on the horizon. Their army, a formidable and well-organized force, began to advance towards the stronghold. The air was thick with tension as soldiers took their positions and prepared for the confrontation. Naruto, Kushina, and their key commanders gathered at the strategic command center, overlooking the battlefield. The enemy's formation was complex, with multiple layers of troops and siege weapons aimed at breaching the stronghold's defenses. Orochimaru, who had been coordinating the reinforcements, joined them with a grim expression. The Eclipsed Hand is deploying their elite units. They're aiming for a coordinated assault on our weak points. We need to be prepared for multiple attacks. Naruto surveyed the battlefield through the command center's binoculars. We'll need to be adaptable. We should deploy our best forces to defend the critical points and use hit-and-run tactics to weaken their front lines. The battle began with a thunderous clash as the Eclipsed Hand's forces launched their assault. Siege weapons pounded the stronghold's walls, and the first wave of enemy troops surged forward, aiming to breach the defenses. Naruto and Kushina led the charge, coordinating with their allies to repel the initial wave. Their combat skills and leadership inspired their troops, and the defenders fought with fierce determination. As the battle raged on, Naruto and Kushina worked in tandem to counter the enemy's strategies. They deployed their forces strategically, reinforcing weak points and launching counterattacks to disrupt the Eclipsed Hand's advance. In the heat of the battle, Naruto found himself face-to-face with one of the Eclipsed Hand's elite leaders, a formidable warrior known for his skill and ruthlessness. The leader, clad in dark armor, glared at Naruto with a mix of disdain and challenge. "You're the one they call the Akatsuki's leader," the Eclipsed Hand leader said, his voice cold. "You're not as impressive as the legends make you out to be." Naruto's eyes narrowed. "You don't know the half of it. We're fighting for more than just ourselves, we're fighting to protect the world from people like you." The two clashed, their battle a fierce display of skill and power. Naruto's movements were swift and precise, and he used his abilities to outmaneuver the leader. The fight was intense, with both combatants pushing their limits. Meanwhile, Kushina was engaged in her own battle against another key figure of the Eclipsed Hand. Her determination and combat prowess were on full display as she fought to protect a crucial section of the stronghold's defenses. As the battle progressed, it became clear that the Eclipsed Hand's forces were not as coordinated as they had hoped. The disruptions caused by Naruto's earlier operations had taken their toll, and the enemy's assault was less effective than anticipated. Despite their numerical advantage, the Eclipsed Hand's forces struggled to maintain their momentum. Naruto and his allies capitalized on this, launching counterattacks and exploiting the enemy's weaknesses. The battle continued for hours, with both sides experiencing intense clashes and fierce combat. The stronghold's defenders held their ground, and Naruto's leadership played a crucial role in turning the tide. As the sun set, the Eclipsed Hand's forces began to falter. Their attacks became less coordinated, and their morale wavered. Naruto and Kushina pressed their advantage, leading their forces in a final push to drive the enemy back. In a decisive moment, Naruto and Kushina launched a coordinated assault on the Eclipsed Hand's command center, targeting their remaining leaders and key operatives. The clash was intense, but the strength and determination of Naruto's team proved overwhelming. The Eclipsed Hand's forces, battered and disorganized, began to retreat. The defenders of the stronghold, exhausted but victorious, cheered as the enemy forces withdrew from the battlefield. Naruto and Kushina stood amidst the aftermath, their expressions a mix of relief and exhaustion. The battle had been hard-fought, but they had succeeded in defending the stronghold and repelling the Eclipsed Hand's offensive. Orochimaru approached them, a rare smile on his face. "We did it. The stronghold is secure, and the Eclipsed Hand's plans have been significantly disrupted." Naruto nodded, his gaze focused on the horizon. "We've won this battle, but we still have much work to do. The Eclipsed Hand won't give up easily, and their schemes are far from over." Kushina placed a reassuring hand on Naruto's shoulder. "We'll face whatever comes next together. We've proven that we can overcome even the toughest challenges." As the team began to regroup and assess the damage, they knew that the road ahead would be filled with more battles and uncertainties. But with their allies by their side and their resolve unshaken, Naruto and his team were prepared to continue their fight against the Eclipsed Hand and protect the world from the looming threat. Chapter 22, Echoes of Victory. With the Eclipsed Hand's forces retreating and the stronghold secure, Naruto and his team began the arduous task of assessing the aftermath of the battle. The night was filled with a somber sense of relief and exhaustion as the defenders tended to the wounded and repaired the damage. Naruto stood overlooking the battlefield, the flickering lights from the campfires casting a warm glow over the scene. The stronghold had held firm, but the cost of victory was evident in the weary faces of the soldiers and the numerous injuries that needed tending. Kushina approached him, her expression a mix of exhaustion and satisfaction. "We did it, Naruto. The stronghold is safe, and the Eclipsed Hand's attack was repelled." Naruto nodded, his gaze still fixed on the horizon. "Yes, but we can't afford to rest for too long. The Eclipsed Hand will regroup and likely strike again. We need to prepare for whatever comes next." Kushina placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. "We've made a significant impact today. We disrupted their plans and showed that we're not to be underestimated. Let's take a moment to acknowledge our victory and regroup." As the team gathered for a brief respite, the atmosphere shifted from tense anticipation to a cautious celebration. The defenders shared stories of bravery and resilience, their spirits lifted by the knowledge that they had held their ground. Naruto and Kushina joined their allies around a large fire, where food and drinks were being served. The camaraderie was evident as soldiers and commanders alike exchanged laughter and stories. It was a rare moment of peace amidst the chaos of the ongoing conflict. Orochimaru, still in his element despite the exhaustion, raised a toast. "To our victory and to the strength of our alliance. We faced a formidable foe and emerged victorious. Let this be a reminder of what we can achieve when we stand together." The gathering erupted in cheers, and Naruto felt a surge of pride and gratitude for his allies. Despite the hardships they faced, their unity and determination had carried them through the battle. As the celebration continued, Naruto found himself reflecting on the events of the past few days. The battle had been a testament to their resolve, but it was clear that the fight was far from over. The eclipsed hand would not be easily deterred, and their plans for further conflict were still a looming threat. Later that night, as the camp began to quiet down, Naruto and Kushina took a moment to themselves. They walked through the stronghold's grounds, taking in the sights and sounds of the post-battle recovery. "I've been thinking," Kushina said softly, her gaze thoughtful. "We've made progress, but we need to ensure that we're not just reacting to the eclipsed hand's moves. We need to take the initiative and strike at their core." Naruto nodded in agreement. "I've been considering that as well. If we can uncover more about their leadership and their ultimate goals, we might be able to anticipate their next moves and disrupt their plans more effectively." Kushina's eyes sparkled with determination. "We should focus on gathering more intelligence and building alliances. The more support we have, the stronger we'll be in the face of future threats." Naruto smiled, appreciating Kushina's proactive approach. "Agreed. We'll need to be strategic and decisive. Our recent victory has given us a temporary reprieve, but we must stay vigilant and prepared." As they continued their conversation, the weight of their responsibilities became clear. The eclipsed hand's threat was a complex and dangerous challenge, and their victory in the battle was just one step in a larger struggle. The next morning, Naruto and Kushina began implementing their plans to gather intelligence and strengthen their alliances. They reached out to various factions and leaders, working to build a network of support that could help counter the eclipsed hand's influence. Their efforts were met with a mix of enthusiasm and skepticism. Some leaders were eager to join the fight against the eclipsed hand, while others were wary of the risks involved. Naruto and Kushina navigated these interactions with skill, emphasizing the importance of unity and the shared goal of defeating a common enemy. As they worked to build support, Naruto also took time to check in with his allies and ensure that the stronghold's defenses were being reinforced. The battle had taken a toll on everyone, and it was crucial to address any lingering issues and provide the necessary support for recovery. In the days that followed, the stronghold became a hub of activity and preparation. The alliance grew stronger, and the team's efforts began to pay off. The information they gathered provided valuable insights into the eclipsed hand's operations and helped them anticipate potential threats. Despite the progress, the sense of unease remained. The eclipsed hand was a formidable opponent, and their plans were far from predictable. Naruto and his team remained focused on their mission, determined to protect their world from the looming threat. One evening, as Naruto and Kushina reviewed their progress, they received an unexpected message from one of their scouts. The message contained information about a potential lead on the eclipsed hand's leadership and their ultimate plans. "This could be a breakthrough," Naruto said, examining the message. "If we can follow up on this lead, we might uncover crucial details about their strategy and find a way to deal a decisive blow." Kushina nodded, her eyes reflecting determination. "Let's follow up on this lead and see where it takes us. We need to stay ahead of the eclipsed hand and continue to push for victory." With renewed focus and determination, Naruto and his team prepared for their next mission. The battle for the stronghold had been a significant victory, but the conflict with the eclipsed hand was far from over. As they set out to uncover more about their enemy, they remained committed to their goal of safeguarding their world and ensuring a brighter future. Chapter 23, The Hidden Agenda. The lead from the scout had revealed a potential lead on one of the eclipsed hand's high-ranking members, rumored to be stationed in a remote, heavily guarded fortress. This fortress was nestled in a secluded valley, surrounded by treacherous terrain and formidable defenses. The information provided detailed descriptions of the fortress's layout, security measures, and potential vulnerabilities. Naruto and Kushina, along with a small team of elite operatives, began preparations for a reconnaissance mission to the fortress. The goal was to gather intelligence on the Eclipsed Hand's leadership and uncover any crucial details about their plans. As they prepared for the mission, Naruto took a moment to address his team. His expression was serious, reflecting the gravity of their task. "We have a critical opportunity to gather information on the Eclipsed Hand's operations," Naruto began. "The fortress we're targeting is heavily guarded, but the intelligence we've received indicates that it's a key location. Our objective is to gather as much information as possible and identify any weaknesses we can exploit." The team nodded in agreement, their determination evident. They were a diverse group, each with unique skills and expertise that would be essential for the mission. Among them were skilled scouts, stealth experts, and combat specialists, all prepared to face the challenges ahead. The journey to the fortress was fraught with danger. The team traversed rugged terrain, avoiding patrols and overcoming natural obstacles. Their progress was slow but steady, and they remained vigilant as they approached the fortress's perimeter. As they neared the fortress, Naruto and his team carefully observed the defenses. The fortress was surrounded by a high wall, with watchtowers and guards stationed at regular intervals. The entrance was heavily fortified, with advanced security measures designed to deter any unauthorized access. Naruto signaled for the team to halt and reviewed the intel they had gathered. The information indicated that there was a small, less guarded access point on the northern side of the fortress, a potential entry route for their reconnaissance. The team moved cautiously, using their skills to bypass the main defenses and reach the northern access point. They encountered several obstacles along the way, including traps and patrols, but their training and coordination allowed them to navigate these challenges successfully. Once inside the fortress, they split into smaller groups to cover more ground. Naruto and Kushina led one group, focusing on the central area where they suspected the high-ranking member would be located. The other groups were tasked with exploring different sections of the fortress, gathering information on the layout, security, and any potential weaknesses. The atmosphere inside the fortress was tense, with the hum of activity and the occasional clatter of metal echoing through the corridors. The team moved stealthily, using shadows and cover to avoid detection. Naruto and Kushina's group made their way to a central chamber that appeared to be a command center. The chamber was filled with maps, documents, and communication devices, valuable resources for uncovering the Eclipsed Hand's plans. As they searched the room, Naruto discovered a series of documents detailing the Eclipsed Hand's recent activities and future plans. The documents revealed that the Eclipsed Hand was planning a major offensive, targeting key strategic locations to expand their influence and destabilize their enemies. Kushina examined the documents with a critical eye. "This information is crucial. It confirms that they're planning a large-scale operation. We need to get this back to our allies as soon as possible." Naruto nodded, his mind racing with the implications of the information. "We need to gather as much as we can and get out of here before we're detected. Let's move quickly and rendezvous with the other teams." The team gathered the documents and began to retrace their steps, heading back to the northern access point. The mission had been successful in terms of intelligence gathering, but their escape was not without complications. As they neared the exit, they encountered a group of Eclipsed Hand guards conducting a sweep of the area. The team had to act quickly, using their skills to avoid detection and neutralize the guards silently. Naruto and Kushina led their team in a coordinated effort, ensuring that they could exit the fortress without alerting the rest of the enemy forces. The tension was palpable as they made their way back through the treacherous terrain, their senses heightened by the danger they had narrowly avoided. Upon reaching their extraction point, the team regrouped and prepared for the journey back to their stronghold. They were exhausted but relieved, knowing that they had successfully completed their mission and secured valuable intelligence. As they returned to the stronghold, Naruto and Kushina debriefed their allies and shared the information they had gathered. The revelation of the Eclipsed Hand's plans was a significant breakthrough, providing crucial insights into their strategy and intentions. Orochimaru and the other commanders reviewed the documents and began to formulate a plan to counter the Eclipsed Hand's impending offensive. The new information allowed them to anticipate the enemy's moves and prepare a defensive strategy. Naruto, though relieved by the success of the mission, knew that the road ahead was still fraught with challenges. The Eclipsed Hand's plans were ambitious and dangerous, and they needed to remain vigilant and proactive to protect their world. As the team settled back into their routine, Naruto and Kushina took a moment to reflect on their progress and the challenges that lay ahead. Their mission had been a success, but the battle against the Eclipsed Hand was far from over. Naruto's resolve remained strong as he prepared for the next phase of their campaign. With the intelligence they had gathered, they were better equipped to confront their enemies and safeguard their world from the looming threat. Chapter 24: The Alliance's Edge. The stronghold buzzed with renewed energy as Naruto and his team presented the gathered intelligence. The information was a turning point, and the upcoming days were crucial for planning their next moves. The war room was filled with maps, documents, and strategists, all focused on deciphering the implications of the Eclipsed Hand's plans. Orochimaru, ever the tactician, was scrutinizing the documents with a mix of curiosity and concern. The Eclipsed Hand's plan is ambitious. They aim to strike multiple key locations simultaneously to stretch our defenses thin. If we don't act decisively, we could find ourselves overwhelmed. Naruto, standing beside Kushina, addressed the room. We have to use this information to our advantage. We need to fortify our positions and create counter-strategies for each potential target. We can't let them catch us off guard. Kushina, with a thoughtful expression, added, we should also consider forming alliances with other factions. Strengthening our network will provide us with additional support and resources. The more allies we have, the better our chances of success. The room hummed with agreement as plans began to take shape. Orochimaru and other commanders started coordinating with various factions and preparing defensive strategies. The focus was on reinforcing key locations and preparing for a coordinated defense against the Eclipsed Hand's offensive. Naruto and Kushina, along with a few trusted operatives, set out to establish new alliances and strengthen existing ones. Their goal was to rally support from neighboring territories and influential leaders who could provide additional resources and troops. Their first stop was a neighboring region known for its skilled warriors and strategic positioning. The region's leader, a formidable warrior named Kale, was known for his tactical acumen and his skepticism toward outsiders. Naruto and Kushina arrived at Kale's stronghold, a fortress built on a cliff overlooking a vast valley. The stronghold was well defended, and the air was thick with the scent of iron and resolve. Kale met them at the entrance, his stern gaze assessing the visitors. What brings you to my stronghold, Naruto and Kushina? I've heard of your recent successes, but we're in the middle of our own troubles. Naruto stepped forward, his tone earnest. We've gathered crucial intelligence on the Eclipsed Hand's plans. They're preparing a large-scale offensive that could threaten multiple regions. We're here to seek your support in countering their moves. Kale raised an eyebrow, his skepticism evident. And why should I trust you? How do I know your information is reliable? Kushina, sensing the tension, took the lead. We've faced the Eclipsed Hand firsthand and uncovered their plans through a risky reconnaissance mission. We've shared the information with our allies, and it's already helping us prepare for their attacks. We need your support to ensure we can defend against their onslaught. Kale considered her words, his gaze shifting between Naruto and Kushina. Very well. I'll review the information and discuss it with my advisors. If what you've said is true, we might be able to work together. But don't expect any guarantees until I'm convinced. Naruto nodded in understanding. We appreciate your willingness to consider our request. We're here to collaborate and provide whatever support we can in return. As Naruto and Kushina awaited Kale's decision, they continued their journey to other regions, making similar appeals for support. Each leader had their own concerns and priorities, and it took careful negotiation and persuasion to gain their trust and commitment. The process was challenging, but Naruto and Kushina's persistence paid off. They secured alliances with several key factions, each pledging to contribute resources, troops, or strategic support. The network of allies began to take shape, providing a stronger foundation for their efforts against the Eclipsed Hand. Back at the stronghold, the preparations for the anticipated offensive were in full swing. The fortified positions were reinforced, and defensive strategies were put in place. The allied factions coordinated their efforts, sharing information and resources to create a unified front against the enemy. Naruto, though pleased with the progress, remained vigilant. The Eclipsed Hand's plans were still a looming threat, and their next moves were critical. He knew that the upcoming battles would test their alliances and their ability to adapt to rapidly changing circumstances. Kushina, working alongside the commanders, focused on ensuring that the alliances remained cohesive and effective. She organized joint training exercises and strategic meetings to facilitate coordination and build trust among the allied forces. The days leading up to the anticipated offensive were marked by a flurry of activity and preparation. The stronghold and its allies braced themselves for the challenge ahead, knowing that the success of their defense depended on their unity and strategic planning. As the final preparations were completed, Naruto and Kushina took a moment to reflect on their progress. The alliances they had formed and the strategies they had developed provided a solid foundation, but the true test would come with the Eclipsed Hand's next move. Naruto turned to Kushina, a determined expression on his face. "We've done everything we can to prepare. Now it's up to us to hold our ground and ensure that the Eclipsed Hand's plans are thwarted." Kushina nodded, her resolve matching Naruto's. "We're ready. We've built a strong network of support and developed effective strategies. Whatever the Eclipsed Hand throws at us, we'll face it together." With their preparations complete and their alliances solidified, Naruto and Kushina stood ready to face the challenges ahead. The coming battles would be critical in determining the outcome of their struggle against the Eclipsed Hand, and they were determined to emerge victorious. Chapter 25, The Gathering Storm. As the Allied forces assembled and the preparations neared completion, the air was thick with anticipation. The Allied leaders, including Naruto, Kushina, and their new allies, gathered in the war room to finalize their strategy for the impending conflict. The room was filled with maps, charts, and tactical plans, each piece of information critical for their defense. Naruto stood at the head of the table, his eyes scanning the gathered leaders. The room was a mix of seasoned warriors, tacticians, and strategists, all united by a common goal. The gravity of the situation was evident in their expressions. "Thank you all for coming," Naruto began, his voice steady and authoritative. "We're on the brink of a major confrontation with the Eclipsed Hand. Our intelligence has given us a significant advantage, but we need to act swiftly and decisively." Kale, the leader of the neighboring region, leaned forward. "We've reviewed the information you provided and are prepared to support your efforts. However, we need to address our strategy for the impending offensive. We can't afford to be caught off guard." Kushina, standing beside Naruto, nodded in agreement. "We've identified key strategic locations that are likely targets for the Eclipsed Hand. We need to fortify these positions and ensure that our forces are adequately positioned to respond to any attacks." The commanders and strategists began discussing the specifics of the defense plan. They reviewed the strengths and weaknesses of each location, identified potential vulnerabilities, and allocated resources accordingly. The goal was to create a robust defense that could withstand the Eclipsed Hand's assault and counter their advances. As the discussion progressed, Naruto couldn't help but reflect on the progress they had made. The alliances they had formed were proving to be invaluable, and the collective effort was strengthening their position. However, the reality of the upcoming battle weighed heavily on him. Amidst the strategy session, one of the scouts burst into the room, breathless and agitated. We've received a report from our outposts. The Eclipsed Hand is mobilizing their forces and preparing for a large-scale assault. They're targeting multiple locations simultaneously. The room fell silent as the weight of the scout's report sank in. Naruto's expression hardened with resolve. It's happening sooner than we expected. We need to implement our defensive strategies immediately and prepare for the assault. The Allied forces sprang into action. Troops were dispatched to reinforce key positions, and defensive structures were fortified. The atmosphere was charged with a sense of urgency as the preparations reached their final stages. Naruto and Kushina, along with the other leaders, continued to coordinate the defense, ensuring that every detail was addressed. The alliances were put to the test as they worked together to create a unified front against the Eclipsed Hand. As night fell, the Allied forces were in position, ready to face the incoming assault. The defensive lines were established, and the troops were prepared for the battle ahead. The sense of camaraderie and determination was palpable as the Allied forces awaited the Eclipsed Hand's advance. Naruto stood atop a vantage point, overlooking the fortified positions. Kushina joined him, her presence a source of reassurance. "We've done everything we can to prepare," Naruto said, his voice carrying a note of determination. "Now we wait and hope that our efforts will be enough to turn the tide." Kushina placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We've faced challenges before and come out stronger. We're ready for this. Our allies are counting on us, and we won't let them down." As the hours ticked by, the tension mounted. The distant rumble of approaching forces and the occasional flash of light from distant skirmishes signaled the arrival of the Eclipsed Hand's assault. The moment of truth had arrived. The first wave of the Eclipsed Hand's forces struck with overwhelming force. The Allied defenses were tested as the enemy forces surged forward, their numbers and intensity creating a chaotic battlefield. Naruto, Kushina, and their allies fought valiantly, their coordinated efforts pushing back the initial assault. Despite their efforts, the battle was far from over. The Eclipsed Hand's forces were relentless, and the fighting continued throughout the night. The allies held their ground, but the situation remained fluid, with each side pushing and countering. As dawn broke, the battlefield was littered with the remnants of the night's conflict. The Allied forces had managed to repel the initial wave, but the Eclipsed Hand's offensive showed no signs of abating. The battle was only beginning, and the true test of their resolve and strategy lay ahead. Naruto, battered but resolute, took a moment to survey the battlefield. The sight of his allies fighting alongside him, their determination unwavering, gave him strength. They were united in their struggle, and together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. Kushina, equally determined, joined Naruto. "We've weathered the first wave. Now we need to regroup and prepare for the next assault. We can't afford to let up." Naruto nodded, his expression reflecting the resolve of a leader determined to protect his allies and secure victory. The battle was far from over, but with their alliances and strategic preparations, they had the tools needed to confront the Eclipsed Hand's onslaught. The coming days would be critical in determining the outcome of the conflict. The Allied forces would need to remain vigilant and adaptive as they faced the ongoing challenge of the Eclipsed Hand's relentless assault. Chapter 26, The Turning Tide. The sun rose over a battlefield scarred by conflict, casting a harsh light on the aftermath of the previous night's clash. The Allied forces, though weary, had managed to hold their ground. The Eclipsed Hand's initial assault had been fierce, but their determination and preparation had proven effective. However, the battle was far from over, and the real test was only beginning. Naruto and Kushina, both exhausted but resolute, stood amidst the chaos, coordinating with their commanders and strategists. The battlefield was littered with debris, and the occasional flare of combat still erupted as skirmishes continued. "We've held them off for now," Naruto said, surveying the scene. "But we need to be ready for another push. They won't stop until they've achieved their objective." Kushina nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. We need to reinforce our positions and ensure that every possible vulnerability is covered. If they're regrouping, they'll come at us with even more force. The Allied forces quickly resumed their efforts. Troops were rotated to provide rest, supplies were replenished, and additional defensive structures were constructed. The atmosphere was one of tense preparation as everyone braced for the next wave. As the day wore on, intelligence reports came in, revealing that the Eclipsed Hand was regrouping and consolidating their forces. The initial assault had been a testing of their defenses, and the enemy was preparing for a more coordinated and formidable attack. Naruto convened a strategy meeting with the Allied leaders, including Kale, who had been instrumental in rallying additional support. The room was filled with maps, diagrams, and notes as they discussed their next steps. The Eclipsed Hand's next move will likely be more coordinated, Kale remarked. We need to anticipate their strategy and be prepared for a multi-pronged assault. Orochimaru, ever the strategist, chimed in. We should set up diversionary tactics to draw their forces away from our key positions. If we can confuse and split their forces, it will give us a tactical advantage. Naruto nodded, considering the options. Agreed. We'll set up decoy defenses and create false signals to mislead them. We also need to ensure that our reinforcements are ready to respond quickly to any breaches. Kushina added, and we should continue our diplomatic efforts to secure any last-minute support. Every bit of assistance will help in this critical phase. The meeting concluded with a renewed sense of determination. The Allied forces set to work implementing the new strategies, preparing for the anticipated attack. Diversionary tactics were put into place, and the defensive lines were strengthened to address potential weak points. As night fell, the Allied forces braced for the next wave of the Eclipsed Hand's assault. The mood was a mix of resolve and apprehension as the troops took their positions and prepared for the fight ahead. The Eclipsed Hand's forces launched their second wave with a calculated precision. The battle intensified as the enemy implemented their strategies, attacking from multiple directions and testing the Allied defenses. The diversionary tactics had been effective in some areas, but the enemy's coordination presented a formidable challenge. Naruto and Kushina fought alongside their allies, their coordination and leadership proving crucial in repelling the assaults. Naruto's strategic insight and Kushina's combat skills ensured that the Allied forces could respond effectively to the various threats. Despite their best efforts, the battle continued to ebb and flow. The Eclipsed Hand's forces were relentless, and their ability to adapt and press the attack kept the Allied forces on their toes. In the midst of the conflict, Naruto and Kushina faced a particularly intense engagement. A squad of enemy forces had managed to breach one of the defensive lines, creating a fierce skirmish that threatened to destabilize the Allied position. Naruto, fighting alongside Kushina, pushed forward with determination. Their combined efforts were a powerful force, and they managed to drive back the enemy squad, stabilizing the situation. As they regrouped, Kushina glanced at Naruto, her expression a mix of concern and admiration. We're holding our own, but we need to stay vigilant. The Eclipsed Hand won't give up easily. Naruto, catching his breath, nodded in agreement. We've got this. We've come too far to let them break through now. We need to keep pushing and show them that we're not backing down. The battle raged on through the night, with the Allied forces holding their positions and countering the Eclipsed Hand's attacks. The fighting was fierce, and the outcome remained uncertain as both sides vied for dominance. As dawn approached, the Allied forces had managed to repel the second wave of the Eclipsed Hand's assault. The battlefield was littered with the signs of intense combat, but the Allied defenses had held firm. The Eclipsed Hand's forces, though still a threat, were beginning to show signs of weariness. Naruto, exhausted but resolute, stood with Kushina at a vantage point overlooking the battlefield. The sight of the Allied forces holding their ground and the enemy beginning to falter was a testament to their efforts. "We've done well," Naruto said, his voice filled with determination. But we can't afford to let our guard down. We need to continue our efforts and prepare for whatever comes next. Kushina placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. We're making progress. We've shown that we can stand against them. Let's keep up the pressure and make sure we're ready for the next move. As the Allied forces prepared for the next phase of the conflict, Naruto and Kushina remained focused on their goal. The battle was far from over, but their resolve and the strength of their alliances provided a solid foundation for the challenges ahead. The coming days would be critical in determining the outcome of the conflict. The Allied forces had proven their ability to withstand the Eclipsed Hand's assaults, but the true test lay in their ability to maintain their strength and adapt to the evolving threats. Naruto and Kushina, along with their allies, faced the future with a sense of purpose and determination. The battle was ongoing, and their resolve to protect their world and secure victory remained unwavering. Chapter 27, The Heart of the Storm. As the days wore on, the intensity of the conflict showed no signs of diminishing. The Eclipsed Hand continued their relentless assault, their strategies becoming more sophisticated and their attacks more coordinated. The Allied forces, though fatigued, remained steadfast in their resolve. Naruto and Kushina, alongside their commanders, continued to adapt their strategies to counter the Eclipsed Hand's relentless pressure. The battle had become a grueling test of endurance and tactical prowess, with each side pushing the limits of their strength and resources. In the midst of the ongoing conflict, Naruto and Kushina found a rare moment of respite. They took a brief pause to strategize and recharge, discussing their plans for the next phase of their defense. I've been thinking about our current tactics, Kushina said as they reviewed the latest intelligence reports. We've managed to hold them off so far, but we need to consider that they might be preparing something even more powerful. Naruto nodded in agreement. We've seen glimpses of their capabilities, but we haven't encountered their full strength yet. We need to be prepared for anything. Let's focus on gathering as much intelligence as we can about their upcoming plans. Kushina agreed, and they immediately set to work coordinating with their scouts and spies. The goal was to gather information on the Eclipsed Hand's next moves and anticipate their strategies. Meanwhile, Kale and Orochimaru were engaged in a separate discussion, analyzing the enemy's patterns and looking for weaknesses that could be exploited. The combined efforts of the Allied forces were crucial in maintaining their defense and preparing for the next wave of attacks. As the intelligence reports came in, it became clear that the Eclipsed Hand was planning a major offensive, focusing their efforts on a decisive strike against one of the key Allied strongholds. The target was a strategically vital location that, if captured, could significantly impact the outcome of the conflict. Naruto and Kushina, upon receiving the report, convened an urgent meeting with their key commanders. The atmosphere was tense as they discussed their response to the impending threat. We need to reinforce the stronghold immediately, Naruto said. We can't afford to lose this position. It's critical to our defensive strategy. Kushina added, we should also prepare for a possible diversionary attack. If the Eclipsed Hand is focusing on one stronghold, they might be planning to strike elsewhere to spread our forces thin. The Allied leaders quickly set to work implementing their new strategies. Troops were redeployed to reinforce the vulnerable stronghold, and additional defensive measures were put into place to prepare for any potential diversions. As the preparations were underway, Naruto and Kushina took a moment to discuss their personal feelings amidst the chaos of battle. The pressure and stress of the conflict had brought them closer together, and their bond had deepened in ways they hadn't anticipated. I don't know what I'd do without you, Naruto said, his voice filled with genuine emotion. Your strength and support have been incredible. It means everything to me. Kushina smiled, her eyes reflecting a mixture of affection and determination. We're in this together, Naruto. We've faced so much, and we'll face whatever comes next with the same resolve. We're stronger together. The personal connection between Naruto and Kushina was a source of strength for both of them. It provided a sense of comfort and unity amidst the chaos of battle, reinforcing their commitment to each other and their shared cause. As night fell, the Eclipsed Hands forces began their major offensive against the reinforced stronghold. The battle was intense, with the enemy attacking with overwhelming force and precision. The allied defenders fought valiantly, determined to hold their ground and protect their critical position. Naruto and Kushina were at the forefront of the defense, their coordination and leadership proving crucial in repelling the assault. Their combined efforts inspired their troops and played a significant role in maintaining the integrity of the stronghold. Despite their best efforts, the battle continued to be fiercely contested. The Eclipsed Hands forces were relentless, and the fighting stretched late into the night. The outcome of the battle remained uncertain as both sides fought for dominance. Amidst the chaos, Naruto and Kushina managed to push back a critical breach in the defenses, their efforts proving pivotal in stabilizing the situation. The allied forces, though exhausted, held their ground and continued to resist the Eclipsed Hands' relentless attacks. As dawn approached, the battle began to show signs of shifting in favor of the allies. The Eclipsed Hands' offensive, while fierce, had not achieved the decisive breakthrough they had hoped for. The reinforced stronghold had withstood the assault, and the enemy forces were beginning to withdraw. Naruto, battered but resolute, took a moment to survey the battlefield. The sight of the allied forces holding their ground and the enemy beginning to retreat was a testament to their determination and resilience. Kushina joined him, her expression a mix of exhaustion and relief. "We've held them off for now. But we need to stay vigilant. They'll be back, and we need to be prepared for whatever comes next." Naruto nodded, his resolve unwavering. "We've proven that we can stand against them. We'll continue to adapt and fight with everything we have. We won't let them break us." As the allied forces regrouped and tended to their wounded, the sense of victory was tempered by the knowledge that the conflict was far from over. The Eclipsed Hands forces would regroup and continue their efforts, and the battle for the future of their world would persist. Naruto and Kushina, along with their allies, faced the ongoing conflict with a renewed sense of determination. They had faced significant challenges and emerged victorious, but the road ahead remained fraught with uncertainty and danger. The coming days would be critical in shaping the outcome of the conflict. The allied forces would need to remain strong and adaptive as they continued to confront the Eclipsed Hands' relentless assaults. Naruto and Kushina stood together, their bond stronger than ever. The battle was ongoing, and their resolve to protect their world and secure victory remained unshakable. Chapter 28. The battlefield had quieted somewhat, but the respite was only temporary. The allied forces, though relieved, knew that the Eclipsed Hand would regroup and strike again. With the immediate threat temporarily contained, the focus shifted to recovering, strategizing, and preparing for the inevitable next wave. Naruto and Kushina, taking advantage of the brief lull, decided to address some of the underlying issues that had emerged during the conflict. They knew that understanding their enemies better and strengthening their alliances would be crucial to their long-term success. In a secluded command tent, Naruto and Kushina reviewed intelligence reports and strategized with their key advisors. The tent was filled with maps, reports, and a few weary but determined faces. The air was heavy with the weight of the decisions to be made. "We need to understand the Eclipsed Hands' motivations and goals more clearly," Naruto said, his tone serious. "We've seen their tactics, but we still don't know what drives them." Kushina nodded. "If we can uncover their true intentions, we might be able to find weaknesses in their strategy. We also need to ensure that our alliances remain strong and that we're prepared for any possible betrayals or shifts in their tactics." Orochimaru, who had been analyzing enemy patterns, spoke up. "The Eclipsed Hands' tactics are evolving, suggesting they have a long-term plan. We've seen them adapt quickly, which means they're likely using a variety of strategies to achieve their goals. We need to anticipate their next moves." Kale added, "We've also received reports of some internal strife among their ranks. It might be beneficial to exploit any divisions within their leadership." If we can drive a wedge between their key figures, it could weaken their overall strategy. Naruto and Kushina absorbed the information, making notes and formulating plans. They decided to increase their intelligence-gathering efforts and to explore any potential opportunities for diplomatic or psychological tactics against the eclipsed hand. As the discussions continued, Naruto took a moment to reflect on the personal toll the conflict had taken on him and his comrades. The strain of leadership and the weight of responsibility were heavy, but he drew strength from his bond with Kushina and his commitment to their cause. Later that evening, Naruto and Kushina walked through the encampment, taking a moment to unwind and reflect. The atmosphere was subdued, with soldiers tending to their wounds and preparing for the next phase of the conflict. "You've been amazing through all of this," Kushina said softly as they walked. "I know it's been incredibly tough, but your leadership and strength have made a huge difference." Naruto glanced at her, his expression a mix of gratitude and weariness. "I couldn't have done it without you. Your support and bravery have been a source of strength for me. We're in this together, and that means more to me than you know." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden commotion nearby. A scout had arrived with urgent news. The eclipsed hand was mobilizing for another major assault, and the intelligence gathered suggested that they were targeting a different key stronghold. Naruto and Kushina quickly regrouped with their commanders to discuss the new threat. The eclipsed hand strategy was becoming increasingly aggressive, and the need for a decisive response was clear. "We need to divert some of our resources to this new threat," Naruto said, his voice filled with determination. "We can't let them gain any more ground. Let's set up a strong defense at the new target and prepare for their assault." Kushina nodded in agreement. "We should also consider setting up additional diversionary tactics to mislead them and protect our other positions. If they think we're focusing elsewhere, it might give us the upper hand." The Allied forces quickly mobilized, redeploying troops and fortifying the new stronghold. The atmosphere was tense as preparations were made, but there was also a sense of focused determination. The stakes were high, and the next few hours would be critical. As night fell, the eclipsed hand's forces launched their assault on the newly fortified stronghold. The battle was fierce, with both sides engaging in a brutal struggle for control. The Allied defenders fought valiantly, using every resource and tactic at their disposal to repel the attack. Naruto and Kushina, fighting side by side, led their troops with unwavering resolve. The battle was a testament to their leadership and the strength of their alliances. Despite the intensity of the conflict, they remained focused on their goal of protecting their world. The fighting continued late into the night, with the outcome hanging in the balance. The Allied forces managed to hold their ground, but the battle was far from over. The eclipsed hand's relentless assault tested their defenses and their resolve. As dawn approached, the Allied forces began to push back the enemy. The eclipsed hand's attack, though fierce, had not achieved the decisive breakthrough they had hoped for. The stronghold remained under Allied control, and the enemy forces began to retreat. Naruto and Kushina, though exhausted, felt a sense of accomplishment. The defensive measures and strategic responses had proven effective, and the stronghold had been secured. In the aftermath of the battle, Naruto and Kushina took a moment to reflect on their experiences and the challenges they had faced. The conflict had tested their limits, but their bond and their commitment to their cause had remained strong. As they looked out over the battlefield, Naruto turned to Kushina with a thoughtful expression. "We've faced a lot, and there's still more to come. But we've shown that we can overcome any challenge as long as we stay united." Kushina smiled, her eyes filled with determination. "We've come so far, and we'll continue to fight for our world and our people. Together, we can face whatever the future holds." The battle was ongoing, but Naruto and Kushina were more determined than ever. The fight against the eclipsed hand continued, and the outcome remained uncertain. But their resolve and their bond provided a foundation of strength and hope as they faced the challenges ahead. Chapter 29, Bonds of Trust. As the days passed, the intense conflict with the eclipsed hand showed no signs of letting up. The ongoing battles had become a grueling test of endurance, with both sides pushing their limits. Naruto and Kushina, along with their allies, were deeply engaged in the fight, constantly strategizing and adapting to the evolving situation. In the midst of the turmoil, Naruto and Kushina took the opportunity to visit their troops and offer support. They understood that maintaining morale was crucial in such a high-stress environment, and their presence provided a much-needed boost to the soldiers. During one of their visits to a field hospital, Naruto approached a young soldier who had been injured in the recent battle. The soldier, despite his injuries, was determined to return to the front lines. "You've done more than enough," Naruto said, placing a reassuring hand on the soldier's shoulder. "We need you to recover and come back stronger. Your health is just as important as our fight." The soldier looked up at Naruto with admiration. "Thank you, Lord Naruto. I'll do my best to recover quickly. We're all in this together." Kushina, standing nearby, nodded in agreement. "Your dedication means a lot to us. We're proud of your bravery, and we'll keep fighting for everyone, including you." The soldier offered a grateful smile before Naruto and Kushina moved on to speak with other troops and offer words of encouragement. The sense of unity and camaraderie among the allied forces was palpable, and it was clear that their shared purpose was a powerful motivator. As the day progressed, Naruto and Kushina returned to their command tent to discuss the latest developments. The Eclipsed Hand's forces had been relentless, but their recent attempts to breach key strongholds had been met with staunch resistance. "We've managed to hold them off so far," Kushina said, examining the latest intelligence reports. "But we need to be prepared for their next move. They're likely regrouping and planning something even more aggressive." Naruto agreed, his expression serious. "We need to stay one step ahead. Let's analyze their recent tactics and see if we can identify any patterns or weaknesses that we can exploit." The discussion was interrupted by a sudden arrival from one of their scouts. The scout, out of breath, reported that there had been a significant change in the Eclipsed Hand strategy. The enemy forces were preparing for a large-scale offensive, targeting a key supply line that was critical to the Allied forces. "This is bad," Naruto said, his voice tinged with urgency. "If they manage to disrupt our supply line, it could severely impact our ability to sustain our defenses. We need to act quickly." Kushina nodded, her mind already working on a plan. "We should fortify the supply line and prepare for a potential attack. We also need to send reinforcements to protect it and ensure that our supplies remain secure." The Allied forces mobilized swiftly, redirecting troops and resources to defend the vulnerable supply line. The atmosphere was tense as preparations were made, with everyone aware of the importance of securing this critical resource. As night fell, the Eclipsed Hand's forces launched their assault on the supply line. The battle was intense, with the enemy forces employing a range of tactics to overwhelm the defenders. The Allied forces, though under pressure, fought with determination and skill. Naruto and Kushina, leading the defense, coordinated their efforts with precision. The battle was a testament to their leadership and the strength of their alliances. Despite the enemy's aggressive tactics, the Allied forces managed to hold their ground and protect the supply line. In the heat of the battle, Naruto and Kushina worked together seamlessly, their movements synchronized and their strategies effective. Their bond and trust in each other were evident as they supported and relied on one another during the conflict. As the assault continued, Naruto and Kushina found themselves facing a particularly fierce group of Eclipsed Hand operatives. The enemy's determination to breach the supply line was unwavering, and the battle became increasingly desperate. Despite the odds, Naruto and Kushina fought with unwavering resolve. Their efforts were crucial in repelling the enemy's advances and maintaining the integrity of the supply line. The battle was long and arduous, but their leadership and the courage of their troops ensured that the supply line remained secure. As dawn approached, the eclipsed hand's forces began to retreat, their assault having failed to achieve its objective. The Allied forces, though exhausted, had successfully defended their critical supply line. Naruto and Kushina, battered but triumphant, took a moment to catch their breath and reflect on the battle. The fight had been intense, but their unity and determination had made the difference. "We did it," Kushina said, her voice filled with relief. "The supply line is secure, and we've shown that we can withstand their attacks." Naruto nodded, a weary but satisfied smile on his face. "We've proven our strength once again. But we need to stay vigilant. The eclipsed hand will keep coming, and we need to be ready for whatever they throw at us." As the Allied forces regrouped and tended to their wounded, Naruto and Kushina took a moment to appreciate the bonds they had forged with their comrades. The conflict had tested their limits. But their trust in each other and their shared purpose had remained unwavering. The battle was ongoing, and the future remained uncertain. But Naruto and Kushina were more determined than ever to protect their world and secure victory. Their strength, unity, and resilience would be the key to overcoming the challenges ahead. Chapter 30, The Dawn of Victory. As the sun rose over the battlefield, the Allied forces began to regroup and assess the aftermath of the recent assault. The fierce battle for the supply line had tested their resolve, but their successful defense had provided a significant boost to their morale. Naruto and Kushina, though weary from the conflict, were determined to capitalize on their recent victory. They convened a meeting with their key commanders and advisors to discuss their next steps and plan for the future. The command tent was bustling with activity as the team reviewed battle reports, analyzed enemy movements, and discussed potential strategies. The atmosphere was one of focused determination, with everyone eager to build on their recent success. "We've managed to secure the supply line and repel their latest assault," Naruto began, addressing the group. "But we need to use this momentum to our advantage. We can't afford to rest on our laurels." Kushina nodded in agreement. "The eclipsed hand will regroup and come at us again. We need to anticipate their next moves and ensure that we're prepared for any new tactics they might employ." Orochimaru, who had been studying enemy patterns, spoke up. "The eclipsed hand's recent attacks suggest they're trying to stretch our resources thin. They're testing our defenses and looking for any weaknesses. We should focus on fortifying our positions and improving our intelligence." Kale added, "We should also consider launching a counteroffensive to disrupt their plans. If we can put them on the defensive, it might give us the upper hand and force them to rethink their strategy." The group discussed various options and strategies, weighing the pros and cons of each approach. After much deliberation, they decided to launch a targeted counteroffensive aimed at disrupting the eclipsed hand supply lines and communication networks. The plan was to strike at key enemy strongholds, causing confusion and forcing the eclipsed hand to divert resources away from their main offensive operations. The objective was to weaken their overall strategy and create opportunities for further gains. As preparations for the counteroffensive began, Naruto and Kushina took time to visit the troops and offer their encouragement. The soldiers, despite their exhaustion, were motivated by the prospect of taking the fight to the enemy and making a decisive impact. "You've all done an incredible job," Naruto said to a group of soldiers. "Your bravery and dedication are what make us strong. We're about to launch a new offensive, and your support is crucial. Let's show the eclipsed hand what we're capable of." The soldiers responded with cheers and renewed determination, ready to follow their leaders into the next phase of the conflict. The counteroffensive began with a series of coordinated strikes against key eclipsed hand targets. The Allied forces moved with precision, executing their plan and disrupting the enemy's operations. The attacks were swift and effective, causing significant disruption to the eclipsed hand supply lines and communication networks. Naruto and Kushina led the charge, their combined strength and tactical acumen driving the success of the operation. The eclipsed hand, caught off guard by the sudden and aggressive counteroffensive, struggled to respond effectively. Despite the success of their initial strikes, Naruto and Kushina knew that the battle was far from over. The eclipsed hand would regroup and launch new attacks, and the conflict was likely to continue for some time. As the Allied forces secured their gains and prepared for the next phase of the campaign, Naruto and Kushina took a moment to reflect on their journey. The battles had been challenging, but their strength, unity, and resilience had carried them through. In a quiet moment, as they stood together overlooking the battlefield, Naruto turned to Kushina with a thoughtful expression. "We've come a long way, and we've faced so many challenges. But we've always been able to count on each other, and that's what's made the difference." Kushina smiled, her eyes filled with warmth. "We've been through a lot, but we've also achieved so much together. Our bond has only grown stronger, and that's something I'm truly grateful for." As they embraced, the weight of the conflict seemed to momentarily lift. The future remained uncertain, but Naruto and Kushina's bond and their shared purpose provided a sense of hope and determination. The battle against the eclipsed hand was ongoing, and the path to victory was still fraught with challenges. But with their strength, unity, and unwavering resolve, Naruto and Kushina were ready to face whatever the future held. Thanks for listening to my story all the way through. Catch you later.